Hello everyone, welcome back to another Tomato Sauce stream. Today, we're going to be talking about the new leaks. Now, the leaks we got were primarily speed focused, which I think actually caught everyone a little bit off guard, just because we've all been waiting for a rush content drop after the last one was a little bit, I don't want to say it was a flop, but it did not affect the meta in an overall meaningful way. Now, some of the decks have been performing okay, some not so okay, but overall we've kind of been in a bit of a stagnant rush meta for a while. The only thing that's really notably changed from like the very, very top tier decks is that Noodles has been completely gutted after the latest skill rebalance and ban list update. So, we're kind of hoping that the new Super Mini kind of fixes some of these problems, and by that we just really mean we need to get Cyberse and Machine just off of being the solo two best decks in the game and get some other bit of variety in there, so we're fingers crossed hoping that happens. A lot of the speed stuff we got does look very interesting. Obviously, Nibiru is a thing. The thing is, Nibiru is a really weird one, because I feel like Nib is one of those cards that in Duel Links specifically, there are so many decks that just don't need to summon even more than once. Or like some decks can like stop at like 2 or 3 and be completely fine just because of the way the skills work. So it would be basically really punishing towards some very specific decks, like a lot of the like Link focused like spammy monster decks, and then things like I'm obviously gonna look at it from the Fluffle perspective because you know I'm a Fluffle guy, but it's a weird one. It's definitely a weird one. I think because of the popularity of decks like Blue Eyes and just how much we see it, I don't know if Nib would see a ton of play. But anyway, let's see who we got in chat. We have Sindark Angel was up. Hello, hello. We have Dragson, Rush Sleep, but you know, maybe Rush Awake. You never know. We have Grand Harrier with the first. Welcome, welcome. And we have Duke. Hi, welcome back. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great day. But I think the first thing we're going to do is just go straight in and look at these leaks, right? Because these leaks are quite exciting. Of course, even though we set up Chrome ahead of time, it's decided to forget what it is. So we'll just fix that by doing that. There we go. So let's take a cheeky gander at what we have. So first off, we have this selection box, which does have our new Live Twin continuous spell. We have Nibiru and we have Pot of Avarice, which is kind of amusing. Like we were already talking about Nibiru a little bit. Nibiru is it's one of those cards, right, where when it does its thing, it's unbelievably powerful. When it doesn't do its thing, it is a giant brick. So again, because of the way Duel Links works and because there are so many decks currently in the meta that just don't need to summon, I don't know if Nib would see like main deck play, and because we aren't doing side deck events at the moment, it's like who knows. What's in the plan today, Tomato? So the plan is to go over the leaks. So we're going to start off with the speed stuff, then go into the rush stuff. Then once we've talked through that stuff, we're then going to play some rush, probably, is the plan. We haven't played rush in a while. We did hit COG on our speed account, so we could try and COG for speed in our rush account, but I think for now I just kind of want to play a little bit of rush. I haven't played it in a little while, and we are hoping this new box drops sooner rather than later, but we'll have to wait and see. Next card we have is Live Twin Sunny Snitch, which is when this card is activated, you can add a Live Twin monster from your deck to your hand. That's already extremely powerful. While you control an Evil Twin monster each time your opponent normal summons a monster, you gain 200 life points. If you do, inflict 200 damage to your opponent. I mean, that's nice. All in all, fantastic card. And then Pot of Avarice. I don't know. Can we do anything like super busted with Pot of Avarice? Is there any deck that really, really wants to put 5 monsters back in the deck? Because obviously drawing 2 is always nice. Let's not undersell that, right? Drawing 2 is fantastic. Konami says Rush Duels has more potential than Speed. I mean, we'll have to wait and see what actually ends up happening with that. But, obviously, I think Rush Duel is a really fun way to play the game. Now, saying that, do we think Striker? How many monsters does... Oh, that's right. Yeah, we're thinking about putting all the links back. I suppose in that regard, you could also possibly say Live Twin, right? The Live Twin have a way to recycle their links? They must do, right? Striker currently don't have a way to recycle links? Which is the one that does recycle all their crap? I remember one of the link decks has a way just to stick them all back into their deck. The skill. Okay. Legend of the Heroes. Yes, that's right. The generic one that gives them a load of life points. Yeah, I mean, then, yeah, Pot of Avarice could be pretty good. This mouse wheel is going to drive me completely nuts. I really need to get a new mouse. I really, really need to. But all in all, it's, you know, 3 relatively cool chase cards all stuck in a selection box. It makes sense, right? People want to get their hands on them. I think a lot of people will grab this just to grab their nib. Even if nib doesn't end up being good, I think most people will still pick this card up, because as soon as a meta rolls around where we don't have like a DM deck basically running around, I think it's going to shoot up in value. There was a trailer for Elemental Hero being released in Duel Links. Cool. You're obviously going to go over it, but with them suggesting we're getting Engage outside of the skill, that would also indicate we're going to get other Striker stuff outside of the skill as well, which would make Avarice even better. Yeah, if we get some of the other Link monsters, then obviously that deck can kind of go hard, right? I mean, we all know how strong that deck is at full power. Now, will it be full power in Duel Links? Probably still not, but it could definitely get a lot more pieces than it currently has. And Sky Striker is kind of a really scary control deck. But speaking of Engage, here it is. This is our new mini box, right? Yeah, mini box. I think everybody knows Engage. Engage is crazy. There's no way this is anything other than a confirmation, right? It would be so weird for this to come out and then it to not be inside of it. So yeah. Jar of Avarice, so useful. Jar of Avarice as well is a legend card in Rush Duel. So, you know, that there is some precedent, right, that they could release at the same time in Rush, but it would be a bit weird to have one in a selection box and then one, because it's a legend, you would assume it would be like either a gift campaign or a bundle, so maybe they wouldn't do that sort of thing. Have you made a Sky Striker deck tomorrow? Not in Duel Links, but I have played Sky Strikers back when they were like an actual, like back when they were new-ish, like not exactly when they came out, but I did play them back in the day. I saw you duel against Sky Striker and it was hard. I can't remember. I've dueled against a lot of decks. I could not tell you which. I don't remember ever having a difficult game against Sky Striker, but I probably have. Right? They all blur together is the main issue. It was speed using Sora. I mean, all we ever use is Sora, so there is a good chance that that was that. But yeah, the other cards we have, Full Armored Utopic Ray Lancer. So this is... I don't actually know how you're supposed to go into this. Right? Now, once per turn, you can also XE summon it by discarding a spell trap card and using 1 rank for a lower monster. Okay, so it just ranks up itself, even though it's not really a rank up, but yeah, okay. Monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack. Seems decent. At the start of your battle phase, you can negate the effects of all attack position monsters your opponent currently controls. So it's kind of like a Tachyon in a weird way. When this attacking card destroys a monster by battle, you can detach material from this card. It can make a second attack. Okay, I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's basically got 3,000 attack, right? Because it weakens all your opponents by 500. Cool card. I love Utopia cards. So I didn't actually watch all of Zexal. I thought the beginning of Zexal was garbage. Like, the first handful of episodes was some of the worst Yu-Gi-Oh! I'd ever seen, so I completely dropped it. And I went back and watched some of it after watching Arc 5, because I really enjoyed Arc 5. So I'm actually not really up to date with any of the Zexal cards. And so specifically the Utopic cards, I'm just like, no idea. The skill is also going to give you a free Aqua Jet, which you can use on it. Okay, okay. It was during a tag duel with Shark. Yuma is bad at beginning. Yeah, it was pretty rough, the beginning. Again, I always think first impressions are so important, right? So I think this is something that Arc 5 did quite well. Arc 5 has an amazing first impression, and I think overall is a really good series, but there's like really bad bits in Arc 5, and some of the characters get done really dirty, and especially the main character, Yuya, is so... there's parts in that show where Yuya is insufferable, and it is just... Oh, it's pain. Sometimes it is pain struggling through it, but it did the first impression thing really well. So, Arc V MC is more depressed after going many episodes. That's the thing though, right? If you give me an episode 1 that sucks, and then episodes 10 and, you know, up to like 20 are bad, you've still got me in, because I've already now committed to watching 10 episodes of your show. Whereas if your episode 1 sucks, why do I want to watch episode 2, right? That's kind of my point there. I think Arc V had a really good episode 1 where they introduced pendulum summoning, where it was Yuya versus the Battle Guard guy in his like ogre deck. And they introduced action dueling, and it was like really weird, and it was kind of just a good episode 1. It was just a good first episode. And then our last card, Supei Duskwalker, Spellcaster level 5. You can discard 1 card, special summon this card from your hand. Defense position, then you can special summon 1 Supei monster from your hand or deck. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. I'm not like super in on the Supei stuff. Like, I don't really know what they all are. I remember the card Supei. Where is he? This guy. I remember this guy. I remember Oracle of the Sun. Moondragon. Is this it? This is the entire like archetype. So you use this to special summon a Supei from your hand or deck. So it has to just be literally Supei. And then use its effect to get out Oracle of the Sun, who can then add Fire Ant or Supei. Obviously, Fire Ant goes into the other dragon. I mean, it could be cool. That's why Yuya was called Berserk Kid. The only hilarious about Arc 5 Zeus was his mum in manga, while the U-boys are his brothers. Yeah, I haven't like read the manga, but I've seen that, and it's just weird. It's just strange. But then we get onto the cards, and these are kind of nutty. Now, are these cards going to be like immediate standouts? Maybe not. There's obviously a lot of reptile stuff in here, and I've always been a big fan of reptiles, right? I'm into the Reptilians. I really like the alien cards. I think the Ogdoadic cards are really, really cool. So a lot of these like really speak to me as like being really cool cards. Now, are any of them going to be good enough to like do anything with in some sort of reptile deck? I don't know. I don't know enough about like the super modern like playstyles of these reptiles. Like I remember I played Reptilian during 5Ds, right? I played aliens during GX. So their modern support is a bit lost on me. So I'm not entirely sure, but I'm hoping they're going to be pretty good. If only I could buy those, but they will take time to collect. All my gems are grinding only, which is sad for me. Yeah, I mean, I'm basically the same. I play the game like free to play. So we have 2 different accounts, one for speed, one for rush. Obviously, speed has a lot more cards in it, as well as tends to get cards out more frequently, which means keeping up with just every speed product release without spending money is a lot more difficult. Rush, on the other hand, is quite simple. I think you can quite easily play Rush without spending any money at all. The only caveats to that are like, do you want extra copies of the structures? So there is that at the very least. But the big things here, I mean, there's some Ting Dangle cards, which like could be funny. But I think the big stuff's going to be the Dogmatica stuff, right? Dogmatica, I think everyone is probably excited about these cards. And Fallen of Albaz and Titanclad are both so cool. Like, right. I might be in the minority here. You have to let me know. But I really like Branded. I've always thought Branded was a really cool deck. One, it's a fusion deck. And I think fusion decks are always really cool. Especially in a sea of Synchro, Xyz, Link monster decks. Fusion just gets to kind of stand proud as like the OG. And I've always really, really enjoyed fusion decks. So Branded is always something that's really spoken to me. As well as kind of the way the deck works. I think it's really cool. So we're getting like the starts of Branded and the Dogmatica package, I think is really, really cool. Nexus is like a really funny card that can be a real asshole. So like, I'm like, maybe this could be really cool. Will there be last cards for Speed, or are they gonna keep releasing Speed cards since Rush Duel was a success for Konami? I mean, we don't know for sure either way, right? But based on what they've said, the next product coming out for Speed is the final product for Speed, and that's obviously talking about physical Speed, not digital Speed. But Rush is still a big question mark. We still don't really know what's going to go on with Rush, so we'll have to wait and see what ends up happening with that. But yeah, I think I'm going to try and invest into this mini box, because I would really like to get, again, Fallen of Albaz. I really want Titaniclad. Like, when eventually, probably not for a while yet, but when, like, Branded Fusion and stuff come out, I really want to pick that stuff up. Obviously, we have Ecclesia and Punishment, which are just absolutely fantastic cards. Also, thank you for the follow, Decim. The other, like, funny stuff we got here was, like, we got White Baking and White Lord. Bit of zombie support. And we also got some more generic zombie support and Dark Eye and Vampire Voivode, which, you know, is neat. But it does look to be, like, the Dogmatica and Reptile box. Which is funny, because I feel like we only just had a Reptile box. Like, it was a while back. But it's, we definitely had, like, the Ogdo Addict box, which I think had just other generic Reptile support in it for a while. Tri Brigade soon, my beloved. Wait, have we got anything to, like, substantiate that claim, or are we just hoping? You think they're dropping a new Rush World? See, that is a big question mark, right? The problem is that we as human beings really like patterns, right? We love it when a precedent is set, because when a precedent is set, we can predict things, we can work things out, we can intuit decisions based on facts and logic. So, the fact that we have had a brand new world every single year means, again, the precedent has been set, we can make an educated guess, a world would come out this year, right? But, as we all know, there is only one world left to come out, which is Go Rush World, and there are some filler worlds that could come out, right? We do have filler arcs from the anime, we do have some other goofy things, like the, capsule monsters. I don't know if they would bother having that as well, but they could, right? They could do whatever they want. Konami they have the power. Or they could do, like, the manga worlds or anything, right? There's so many different things they could do. I would say the options we realistically have is filler world, Go Rush, but, like, super early, and it would be very watered down. We'd get, like, just the boss monsters and none of the interesting cards. Or just nothing, and we have a gap year, right? Those are, the three options that I see. So we'll have to see which one actually happens, but I feel nostalgia when I remember you say you more of a Rush guy than a Speed. Not yet, might be next year. Well, if you go by the timeline of the Fallen of Albaz's lore, it's Dogmatica first, then Tri Brigade. Ah, okay. I'm not a big lore guy, right? It's like the, what's it called? The Chronicles? That's what the animation is called, right? The Chronicles. That, I think, is really cool, and I love it, and I would watch it if it came out. But I'm the kind of person that watches... I like watching anime where people play card games. I'm not as interested in a show about the cards' lore themselves. And it's not saying I don't like the lore. It's more I'm just not invested in it, so I don't necessarily follow it. So, in terms of all of that stuff, I am just completely out of the loop. But if we do go by the lore, then Tri Brigade coming out could be really, really fun. I did play a bit of Tri Brigade. I didn't play a ton of it, but I did play a bit of it. I did enjoy what I did play. And I had a friend that played Tri Brigade on Master Duel almost exclusively, and I played against him a ton. So I played against the deck a ton. And I really, really do like the deck. Since Go Rush still has 30 episodes left, it seems weird that Go Rush potentially only has 30 episodes left, because what are they going to do after Go Rush? I mean, presumably it'll be another Rush series, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't know why Season 4 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is kind of off and boring, but Season 1, 2, 3 are better. Season 4 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is kind of off. Now, by Season 4, are we talking about Duel Monsters? In which case, Season 4 would be... Because this is where it gets weird as well, because, like, I think of them in arcs, or like the actual series, so like, you know, DM, GX, 5Ds. But sometimes series are more like every 24 episodes or whatever, so it could be like the end of Battle City, could be Season 1, I have no idea. Kind of off to me, we still haven't got any Yu-Gi-Oh! 9 series. Konami has Animation Studio, which improves their cards sale. Awaken the Dragons arc. Okay, yeah, the Darts Awaken the Dragon Orichalcos arc is... I enjoyed that arc. The only problem with that arc was there's so much filler cards in there. Like, how do you do that arc without having the Valon armor cards and without having the... Oh, I can't remember what his name was. So it was Valon, Raphael, and then the other one. And the other guy who had, like, his little brother's robot toy and his whole deck. I'm pretty sure none of those cards are real cards. So, like, I would love to have those come out, but I don't know how you do that series without having all of those cards, which don't exist. Which means making a whole bunch of Duel Links exclusives. And I know we have Duel Links exclusive cards already, right? There is a precedent that Konami will do that. But I don't think they've done it in the sense of, like, an entire deck is Duel Links exclusive cards, which would be very, very strange. We've had, like, a couple of cards from each archetype sort of thing when they've done it. My Dark Horse theory is the new world could be focused on the Chronicle animation stuff. Ooh, I mean, that... There is no precedent for that, but I think, again, like I explained at the beginning of this little rant, we're reaching a point where we have to break the mold, right? There's going to have to be something. Either we're going to have nothing, or we're going to have a manga world, or we're going to have a filler world, or they're going to do the safe route, which is release Go Rush, but, like, really watered down Go Rush. So either they do something which I would consider bad, or they break the mold. I think those are the two options, really, and I think breaking the mold in an interesting way would be the way to do it. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has Season 5. To be honest, Awaken of Dragon arc is just filler. I don't feel having fun watching it. I really liked Awaken the Dragon arc. I thought that the whole front row back row thing with Orichalcos was cool. I think having some minor villains come back as more threatening villains with Orichalcos was cool. I think the Guardian stuff kind of sucked off Raphael. I thought Raphael was a really cool character. I thought the fact that his Guardian cards didn't work any way like they did in the physical game felt really off to me. But I really did love the Valon armor cards. I thought those were sick. Especially as a kid. Like, oh, I wanted to have those cards. I wanted to big bang blow and just go and punch my opponent with my rocket fist. I just wanted that. All of the Duel Links exclusive cards have come from Tag Force games. I didn't know that. I did not know that. Battle City is way more intense and exciting. I mean, Battle City is peak DM Yu-Gi-Oh! So, you know. The reason is because of the Chronicle rarity type. Oh, that is a good shout. Now that you mention that, because we do have that in the leaks. If we scroll down, yeah, Chronicle cards. So yeah, that would make sense. That would make sense. Just because of the wording, right? We're using clues in the wording of everything here. That does. The thing is, though, what would you have? Because, like, would you just release a bunch of decks from that animation? Which would be, what was it? It was like Dark Magician. It was Melfi. It was Zeus. It was Ice Barrier. God, what else was even in there? The Dogmatica stuff, obviously, and Albaz. I can't think of anything else that's in there. What would you say if Raphael arrived in Duel Links? I think Raphael in Duel Links would be funny, but, like, I'd like to have him as a playable character. I don't see what his unlocks would be that would be even remotely interesting, right? It's like, Guardian KS. Wow. Amazing. Duelist Kingdom is the most nostalgic, but Battle City was such a good arc. I agree with that completely. Yeah, like I said, I'm not saying it's going to be this, and I put it at a 10% chance, just an idea I had because of how much they seem to be pushing that stuff. I do think, though, it is more fun to come up with a theory often than it is to actually find out what's actually happening. And gathering evidence for a theory is also very, very fun. So even if this doesn't come out, just the fact that this is potential and there are breadcrumbs that do lead to this conclusion, I think is very, very fun. See, now, the problem is, I like this theory so much, I'm going to be disappointed if it doesn't happen. That's the other issue. But they ruined Yugi's character. Six Sam, Sulphur Cord, Charmers, Zeus. Yeah, I completely I forget Sulphur Cord even exists as a deck. I run into it on ladder sometimes, and I'm like, oh yeah, Sulphur Cord exists. It would be cool if you collect Battle Chronicle cards, Tomato. Battle Chronicle cards. I mean, I'm not going to go out of my way to do that. Let me tell you that right now. We need Crump in Duel Links from Battle City. I mean, it's not really Battle City, is it? It's the Noah filler arc, but I suppose it happens in the middle of Battle City. Crump is by far the best character of the big five, though. I think everyone has to agree with that. And I think that Little Karibo's interpretation of him is so funny. Like, I absolutely loved Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged Series Crump. He is so unbelievably funny. I just want to know what inspires you to play Duel Links. I need inspiration right now. Thank you. What inspires me to play Duel Links? I love Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the beginning and end of it. I like a way where I can play the game that isn't Master Duel. I like Master Duel. There's nothing wrong with Master Duel. I don't want to play Master Duel all day, every day. I prefer the slower formats, right? I prefer... If we had access to GOAT format, as the Chinese Duel Links server does, I would play that. Not constantly, but I would play it a bit. Right? I would play a few games every now and then. If we had access to Edison, I would also love to play that. I really enjoy Rush Duels. I prefer physical Rush Duels to Rush Duels on Duel Links. But Rush Duel on Duel Links, you know, theoretically will eventually get to, you know, what we have in the physical game. So I'm kind of all in on that. I just, again, I like Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't necessarily... I'm not in love with the most modern version of Yu-Gi-Oh! I would rather play Duel Links than Master Duel right now, like Speed Duel. I'd rather play Speed Duel than Master Duel. Not that... Again, I'm not saying I hate Master Duel. I'm just saying I would prefer Duel Links Speed Duel to Master Duel personally. Ogdo Addict Tier 0 incoming. Ooh, that's a spicy take. What in here do you think is going to make Ogdo Addict Tier 0? Obviously, we got some new Reptile cards, but are any of these, like, particularly standout-ish? Because, like, I don't know a ton of, like, the newer stuff. I've played, I think, like, 2 games as Ogdo Addict, and I barely remember them. Like, this was a long time ago. But also, hello, Kimmy friend, or Kim friend. Welcome on in. Where is the other one? Who's the other one? Hey, Tomato, Fallen of Albaz here, branded before Yuri and Predaplant ZZZ. Welcome on in, Max. So, I was talking about this a little bit earlier. I actually really like branded, so I'm quite happy about this. Now, if you were to ask me, would I want Predaplants or branded? I want both, right? They're both really cool fusion archetypes that I want. Because I love fusion decks. So, I just kind of want all of it. Arc V has a special place in my heart, so the Predaplant stuff, I would really like to get my hands on because I love Arc V. It's like my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. But Branded, I played quite a bit of Branded and thoroughly enjoyed the deck the entire time I played it, so I also really want those cards. To the Machine King guy from anime would be nice too. Constantly tribute up. Are we talking about Nesbit? No, not Nesbit, was it? It was, Johnson? I think it was Johnson. Although Johnson might have been Judge Man. I can't remember. To be honest, prediction, we're going to get Dogmatica with Predaplant Yuri support. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Branded was a cool archetype for sure, but man, I was really expecting something like Dragon Maids when Yuri gets announced, hopefully. You want something like Dragon... See, Dragon Maids is a weird one. I've never been a big fan of Dragon Maids, right? I have a friend who is really, really in on Dragon Maids. He really enjoys playing Dragon Maids. And the deck is, like, it's fine. Like, I've played a bit of Dragon Maids. But I've never been super in on the aesthetic of Dragon Maids. The play style as well it's fine, but it doesn't, like, capture me. Because the play style of Dragon Maids is, like, the whole... The maids become the dragons, and the dragons go back into being the maids. And I think that's cool on paper. In practice, I don't really like that playstyle that much. I prefer, your more standard fusion of, like, just fusing your dudes together or fusing your opponent's guys into the board. That's just kind of, my thought, feeling, and opinion. Yup, Nesbit. I know waifu archetypes are popular, but to be honest, Dragon Maid and Live Twin are my favorite. Ah, see, that's the thing. I've never been huge into Live Twin either. Like Live Twin, I don't dislike the aesthetic of Live Twin, but the slower control decks like Live Twin have never. I guess I don't dislike a control deck. I've always kind of been the kind of type of player in general that likes to go like full aggro. Which is why I think I'm so torn with Rush right now, because I feel like all of the big slammy aggro decks get punished super hard. So yeah, I think Rush is in a weird spot right now for me, where the decks that go wide and want to have 3 big guys, so like aggro noodles, psychic, some of the dragon decks. The issue those decks are having is there's lots of back row now to protect you from being just outright slaughtered, which makes those decks feel worse. But we need that back row to stop the other annoying decks that can just kill you out of nowhere, being Royal Rebels and Overlord, which could just kind of come in and just one-shot you out of nowhere. So to stop those, we have to have all this really good back row, but then that really good back row stops the aggro decks from feeling really good, and it's just like weird, vicious cycle. The art style is really cool to look at. They are control decks right now, but once they get full support, they will be more of a combo deck. Yeah, I just want. I'm not gonna lie. I want my full branded. Give me the full branded package now. That's what I want. All right, we'll wait for the ads to go away before we continue talking about stuff. Got some Chronomaly stuff. Some of these cards do seem kind of cool. I really like reptiles. Like, I really do like reptiles. Reptiles have just been one of those types that I've just always really enjoyed. It's always been a very underrepresented and undervalued type. Losing to Royal Rebel feels like I get cheated every time. Royal Rebels is like, it's a really weird deck because the way you beat Royal Rebels is just play monsters in defense mode, but then like you still need to kill them at some point, and we're not in the stage of Rush where you can just really OTK your opponent very easily. And like we said, we have the problematic trap cards, so... also, since Tindangles are here, does that mean next month is Akira Zaizen unlock? So again, I haven't watched Vrains, so I'm a little bit behind on who that is. We're getting Spectre rerun about next month too. I think it's weird to release some Tindangle cards before the Tindangler comes out. That is how I'm kind of feeling. I'm like, why would you not release these at the same time as you bring out the event? Or like the box closer to, I guess? This does feel a bit weird to me. The last season 1 character, so probably heading to season 2 now. So it's so weird as well that we still like are in season 1 of Vrains. Like, it's very... Like, obviously, Vrains World has been out for a while now, but like we're only just getting into like season 2. I hope we get Blood Shepherd next month with drones. You just say words at me now. Not looking forward to Tindangles. Well, Tindangles is like a very kind of annoying stally control deck, so I can understand that. I don't think we're going to talk about the skills too much, or at least specifically the speed skills, because I'm not like super... Like, again, I've managed to cog in speed now, but I still do not feel like I am an authority or I am not very well informed on speed whatsoever. So, like, I don't know what a lot of these are going to mean for the format. I think this is quite cool, the fact it specifies a sharkfish monster. Add an Aquajet from side deck to your hand. I mean, yeah, like I say, I'm just not going to be the person to talk about these. Yeah, it was released in 2022. Also, Tomato, you need to watch Vrains. Trust me, you'll actually like it. The issue is just finding time. That is my current issue with everything, is trying to keep up to date with everything that I'm currently, like, invested in and watching. And then, obviously, I've got actual work, and then we've got doing, you know, the whole YouTube and streaming thing, and it doesn't leave a lot of actual, like, really good spare time. And whenever I do a spare time, I like to spend it, like, with friends and stuff, so... I'd be interested in Blood Shepherd, Mecha Phantom Beast, and drones. Ooh, Mecha Phantom Beast, though. Just saying, you know, there's potential there. But I guess we'll talk about the Rush Duel stuff now, because obviously, you know, we're primarily a Rush Duel guy. This is basically a Rush Duel channel. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Rush Duel stuff, which is pretty cool. So first up, Luke skill. This skill can be used if the enemy monsters with 1300 more attack in your deck are dragon-type monsters, and there is at most one level 6 or higher light attribute monster in your deck. So, you know, interesting. Requirement. During the turn that you have normal summoned Illusion Strike Dragon Mirageus, so this is basically hinting we're going to get this card, or Steel Strike Dragon Metageus, we can add a dark attribute monster with 2500 attack from your deck to your hand. So this is very important because this lets us fulfill the requirement for both of our dragons, as they both have the same requirement. Send one level 7 or higher dragon-type monster from your hand to the graveyard, or send one level 7 or higher dragon-type monster from your hand to the graveyard. So we get to add a dark one specifically. Both of these are dark, so we'll get to search extra copies of themselves. For the rest of this turn, halve the battle damage you inflict from a battle involving your dark attribute level 7 monster. So the trade-off is that we're not going to be able to OTK our opponent most of the time, because we're going to halve the damage that we're going to deal. But it shouldn't matter a lot of the time anyway. The thing is, if we're halving damage, Dragon Mirageus becomes less valuable, because Mirageus' whole gimmick is that it weakens your opponent's monsters, right? So we're weakening them by 1500, which you could make the argument, okay, that means you could just attack over them now, which is good, right? But that works if we OTK them. If we're now doing half of that damage, it doesn't matter really, because Metageus can just crash into 25s anyway, because it can't be destroyed by battle. So, like, The other problem being that Mirageus only works on level 7 or lowers, so it doesn't work on level 8s, and we can't even use this to weaken a maximum monster, which is a little awkward. Definitely a little bit awkward. Right, let's see. Let's try and catch up with the chat. I'm back. Half their decks aren't printed. Oh, man. Maximus summon Voltec Thunder. Would be fun. People with appliances. True. When appliances come out in the game, I feel like the deck will be super free to play. I mean, you'd hope so. Maximus, how was Yuri wait? Still waiting, but I'm patient. Have you tried the new Rush Duel spell from the current event? We haven't tried it yet, but we will probably try it at some point this week. Although leaks so far look like we can't get everything, and I'm not too happy that Nibiru is coming into the game. I'm not losing hope. I know he will. I mean, fingers crossed, right? Fingers crossed. He has to come eventually. It's just like we want him sooner rather than later. But yeah, this Luke skill, I think this skill itself is fine. The whole point is we're trying to... The issue is we're trying to make the skill, the abilities work of our dragon monsters. That's good. We're then trying to take away our ability to kill our opponent, which is bad for the deck, probably good for the game. I think we do need some more, like, good aggression. So I think trying to stifle the aggression is also a bit awkward. But most importantly, this is telling us that we're probably going to be running a combination of these two cards, which would tell us that Mirageus probably isn't going to be limit 3'd, because I can't imagine trying to play this deck. But then if it's... I suppose you could just have it so you choose one or t'other, right? You play the Mirageus or the Metageus, or a combination of the two. Because if you think about it, if we're just playing 3 of these anyway, this one level 6 or higher, that could also just be like a Blue Eyes or something, which would be still weird, but like you could still have... There is still a world in which we still get 4 good boss monsters with this skill, right? So like... Who even knows? I'm not looking forward to Nib, but I am far more interested in Avarice if they even release one of the Bracelet Girls. First, I'm not even going to be mad either. Yeah, I'm trying to think which Bracelet Girl people would even want. Like, I assume we don't have Melodious in the game, because I despise Melodious personally. I mean, I think the most popular one is probably going to be the level 1 birds, right? What are they even called? Cannot... Lyrilusk. Lyrilusk, yeah. I think Lyrilusk is probably the most popular of them. I'd want Wind Witches. Wind Witches is a cool one. I think Wind Witches are one of the more kind of niche ones. I don't think Wind Witch is ever like, at least, right. Again, I'm not like super big into, or was into the meta at the time when Arc V was airing. But from what I've seen, there don't seem to be that many Wind Witch stands going about, so I assume it's a bit more niche, right? My favorite bracelet girl for now is Selena, who's stronger than Zuzu. Well, I mean, she's already in the game, right? So Wind Witch are better version of Speedroid in a way. They can make a lot of synchro plays. Okay, okay. Max here is a fan of Lunar Lights. I mean, Lunar Lights in general is a cool deck, right? I don't think the only issue with Lunar Lights is it's very free to play, right? Like a lot of the cards are very easy to get your hands on. A lot of them you can get from tickets, and that means you see the deck a lot. It's not like Blue Eyes levels. It's not Battle Chronicle levels, but you do see the deck around quite a bit. And I think as you get more exposed to a deck, people just naturally start to dislike a deck more. It's like machines in Rush. In the physical game, machines have always been good, but they never had this like ire about them of like, oh man, we've been grinding a ladder for like 2 to 3 months now, and machines are still here. Could they please leave because I'm sick of them? And I think that's a stigma that's going to stick around on the machine deck, even though as the machine deck goes on, it does get kind of like fun and interesting. Damn, I missed the start. Hello, Pro Manicust. Welcome on in. There is Super Turbo Synchro deck. 1 card makes Crystal. That sounds pretty strong. I played and cogged a lot with Lunars, like 4 to 5 times. I mean, it's a cool deck. It's a cool deck. WoW, new Lunar Light skill, and I have Prismatic Leo Dancer. I mean, Roman skill. I was going to say, that is very different. Those are very different things. Not when playing Raid Raptors. But yeah, so looking at this, I would assume Mirror Gears isn't going to be limited 3, but it still could be. It could still very easily be limited 3. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But this does mean Mirror Gears should be coming in the next box. And presumably it might not be limited. That's kind of what this is telling me. The skill itself is fine. It almost feels not unfair enough. Because some of the rush skills we have are really unfair. And this feels fine, right? This basically just lets you plus, which you're immediately going to throw away into the bin to use one of these effects. Unless you just don't. You could just like keep the card and use it. Like that's the alternative. What monsters for both 5Ds and Zexal are you all getting? I have a question for everyone, including you tomorrow. What Ace monsters? Do we have a list of the ones which are available for us to get? Because I'll probably go... I mean, I genuinely don't know. Because you got to remember, I always try and look at it from a competitive standpoint. So I will take whatever I don't have that I want, that I could combine with one of the decks I already have, or a deck I'm planning to play in the future. Based on surveys, the best female duelist in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is Roman for now, but she might be surpassed by Yuamu. I'm going to grab a Prismatic number 39 Utopia and Stardust Dragon. I mean, fantastic choices, right? Who's your favorite Zexal girl character, Max, that is a stronger duelist? Okay. That's a question. Alright, then we have the Asana skill. This skill... So this skill's a bit mid, right? This skill can be used for deck contains 5 or more level 5 or higher monsters. Before your normal draw, if there's a face-up field spell on either field, one of the cards you draw will be one Bill Dragon. The only saving grace about this is that you can use this more than once, right? Throughout the duel. Which I guess is neat. But other than that, it just seems ass. I feel like there are 2 other Asana skills that are better than this. So it's like... eh. Next Rush is a main box, right? I'm a bit skeptical. It will be an August box because normally it's a skip month previously. We don't know if it's going to be a main box. We have no confirmation of any of it, right? Like, all we have is this, which says Super Mini. So my assumption would be, because we've never had a Super Mini for Speed, this is a Super Mini for Rush, which would imply that all of these are going to be Super Mini. Right? That's kind of how I think of it. I'm going for hands down for Zexal Stardust. Go for hands? Okay. To be honest, there isn't much but Dexterous Destroy. Everyone's a fan of Dextra. I'm of Rush Duels right now. The skill is ass, but imagine we get other field to tribute easier. Could make for some interesting plays. Yeah. Box Petite. What is it? Don't worry about Box Petite. Don't worry about the Petite box. It's a Super Mini. Box Petite just means Super Mini. And because it's O2 as well, that means the second Super Mini, right? So basically that's soft confirming this is, with the next Rush is going to be a Super Mini, right? Rush Duels might be one of my exciting style for now. Hope I get all those skill with my hard work. I mean, should be able to. Worst case scenario, you can just use the skill chips things, right? Obviously, you'd rather get the gems from them, but, you know. A Giant Hand, yeah. O Super Mini. Prismatic Galaxy Eyes. Tachyon Dragon is a good choice, too, but I hate Tachyon, so I'd rather go for Utopia still. I think Tachyon's cool. I think people still have a bad taste in their mouth from the Tachyon, like, Tier 0 meta. But I still think the Tachyon cards themselves are really cool. I really like them. Galaxy Cypher is still more generic than Tachyon. Well, there is that. Galaxy Eyes Cypher Dragon. I mean, who doesn't love it? You got my first introduction to Kite was when he was in Arc V, and his one thing he would do is just turn 1, summon Galaxy Eyes Cypher Dragon. That was his only combo. And I was like, this is the coolest character ever made in the Yu-Gi-Oh series. And he wasn't even from Arc V, right? He was from Zexal. And then I went back and watched some of his Zexal duels, and especially his early ones where he just summons Gept. I'm just like, meh. Like, Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, I don't think is a very interesting monster, but Galaxy Eyes Cypher Dragon I thought was really cool. Full Armor and Blade, to be honest. I mean, yeah. The strongest rival character in all Yu-Gi-Oh! Is Kite. I mean, I think, is that like statistically, like he beat the main character the most or something? To be honest, I really prefer Zexal Kite than Arc V Kite. So it's less for me about, because like Arc V Kite doesn't do or say anything. He is a force that shows up, instantly summons a rank 8, one-shots his opponent, and then leaves. And that's just his entire character in Arc V. He just does that a few times until he finally loses to Zark. Is it Zark? Pretty sure it was Zark. If you run Galaxy package, no Tachyon. And to be honest, Kite is literally just Xyz Jack Atlas. See, Jack Atlas is like... So, alright, what I'm about to say, I mean with love and respect, right? Jack Atlas is a really cool character. I really like Jack Atlas. I really like his deck. But that man is a goofball, right? He is so, like, a fish out of water doing anything that isn't dueling. And he just seems like such a dumbass most of the time. But, like, in a good way, in a funny way. And especially when you slap the Australian accent on him from the dub as well, he's just so funny. Whereas Kite, to me, has always been more of like a straight-laced character. Isn't it possible for all Arc V characters from previous shows to appear in Duel Links? I mean, shows like Alexis Jack. I don't think so. I don't think that would happen. All those characters on Arc V have the line, so no, the Arc V cards they used. Jack is arrogant, is funny. Kite is so serious and always angry. Yeah, I think that was the thing, right? Jack had his primary motivation at the start, at the very least, was all very selfish and self-indulgent. Whereas Kite was exactly the opposite. Kite's entire thing from the very start was like protecting his brother, right? And saving his brother. Jack, like, evolves into that when he, like, meets Carly and stuff. But he doesn't start that way, right? He likes coffee instead of tea with a British accent in another dub. Fake Brit. I mean, I drink coffee. You know, I've got a coffee right here. And then you have Revolver, which, to be honest, Revolver is more of the strongest rival character, if being completely honest. It's one of those weird things where if you take Revolver's deck, right? If you take his Boral deck, his Rocket deck, it is gonna be so much more powerful than any of the previous, just because he's got like the new summoning mechanic. The cards themselves are like completely bonkers. I haven't watched the show, so I don't know how often like he just wins everything, but he does seem like the type of character that would just kind of win everything. But I assume he can't beat Playmaker, because Playmaker's whole thing is he can't lose any games. So I would assume that he's beaten Playmaker a grand total of 0 times, based on that fact. So it's a weird one, right? The best thing about Kite is he's always aware of his opponents and find ways to beat them. Fake Brit. I don't drink coffee or tea, and I'm British. That's, come on, you're letting the side down, Kisara, come on. He only defeated by Vectrix once because of his weakness protecting his brother, true. He loves his brother so much. Revolver never used his fusion, but let Playmaker use it, which means he must have been holding back a lot. He had amazing skill, but Playmaker always cheated with Storm Access, etc. See, I need to watch this show. I need to watch it so I want to see Playmaker cheating with Storm Access. I don't even know what that means. I'm excited to find out. He is willing to sacrifice everything. The highlight for me in Vrains has been a Soul Burner versus Revolver duel. It's the most emotional duel by far. Okay. Again, I haven't seen it, so I don't know. The one, like, takeaway I have, or like the one obscure / fun little snippet, I guess, of Vrains is that for Duel Links, we didn't have the main character of Vrains as the first character that came out, which I thought was so interesting, right? That's such an interesting way to do it, where we got Soul Burner before we got Playmaker. Now, I'm sure there's just a balance reason for that, right? Like, we couldn't get Firewall Dragon early because Firewall Dragon was overpowered originally, and then it got errated, and then it became a bit mid, etc., etc. I won't spoil it, but when you do get there, you will love it. We'll have to wait and show you. Is there a watch-along in Vrains I want to watch with you, Tomato? Probably not going to do a watch-along, not going to lie. Vrains is so underrated. I watched the first episode of Vrains, right? And to anyone who can remember the first episode of Vrains, there is no dueling in it, right? The first episode of Vrains is entirely set up. And it is in, like, the main character goes in and he gets ready for a duel. And he hops on, like, a surfboard. And then they start, like, surfing the web or something. I can't remember the exact terminology they used. But as someone that was like, I just finished watching Arc 5, and I was like, I'm ready for the new one. Let's see what's going on. It seemed so cheesy. It seemed so weird, right? It would be like, it's like the meme, card games on motorcycles, right? If you just went in, had no context, and you just start seeing people dueling on motorbikes, it looks ridiculous. But if you've watched the setup, you have the premise, it feels natural as they go into it. Now, I'm still of the point, I prefer the standing duels to the riding duels in 5Ds, right? I just think, I don't like the whole speed counters. I don't like speed spells. I think they're very awkward, and you can't play it IRL, so I've never really gotten on with it. I like watching something in the show and then doing it myself. Like, oh, he did that really cool anime combo. Now I'm going to try and pull off that anime combo myself. You can't do that as well with riding duels, right? So it's a weird one. It's a weird one. Lol, do you know Yusaku's past? Gotta try and remember who Yusaku is. Can't wait for the classic Nibiru token end board. Oh, it's gonna be amazing. Into the Vrains. Vrains is probably my favorite series, as the duels were so close to the IRL with big players, etc. Don't watch the dub though. Okay, there's... I don't usually watch the dub. If I'm planning to speedrun a series though, if I'm planning to just watch a lot of episodes very quickly, I will probably watch the dub, because it's easier to go through. Did you know AI is alive after he is removed from the final duel with Playmaker? I already have slight PTSD from the big rock, but imagine the bug and Yokai Girl get added. Oh, Maxi. Man, could you even imagine? The question is, which Yokai Girl, right? There's Ash, but we could get some of the other Ghost Bell. What are they called? They have a name, don't they? The all of the Ghost Girl hand traps. They have like an archetype or something, right? For me, I hate the mechanics of Entertainment Duel. They can't get new cards within Duel. So I am mixed feelings with Action Duels, right? So one, I think the idea of it is really cool. The bad thing for me about Action Duels is you can just spam them, right? You can run around, evade an attack. Grab another card, evade the attack again, grab another attack, evade the attack again. And I'm like, that's kind of lame. I would like restrictions on it, like you can only activate one action card per turn or something. I think that would be fine. The only thing, like I said, I don't like is the fact that you could just, I'm gonna lose the duel. I need to find an action card. And even if this doesn't save me, I will just keep finding more action cards until I am fine. As long as the plot basically decides that I need to survive. That was the only thing I didn't like about it. Ashbottom, of course. I need to watch Tomato go through the whole phase of finding AI annoying to respecting AI. Okay, I mean, we'll see what happens there. Ghost Ogre. I feel like Ghost Ogre we could get next. This is why Duel Links is sequel for the end of all Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. Well, except for Go Rush, right? Because that hasn't finished yet. Can we get more Rush characters? Like, how do we not have Tiger yet? We haven't got any Tiger's cards yet, so how can we have Tiger? I think the issue is with Rush and Sevens more specifically is very like villain of the week formulaic. Like a lot. It does that a lot. And because of that, there are just so many characters in Sevens. Putting them all in as playable characters is just not feasible. So they've had to cut a lot of them. The issue is they've cut so many, right? Of the like even the recurring duelists. Like Mimi is a recurring duelist, so she came in, right? But Yosha's a returning duelist. He gets loads of duels, but he's only got, we don't get him as a playable character. Sabu Ramen, again, he has a handful of duels, and he again doesn't get a spot. Now, there is someone like Scoop, and I kind of get not having Scoop as a character. Scoop only, I think, duels twice ever, and they're very spread out. He duels in like episode like 2, and then he duels in like episode 3, and then he duels again in like episode 102 or something. Like, he's very far spread out. So I kind of get not having him as a character, and obviously we haven't got his cards yet and everything. But there are just so many Rush characters that it's not necessarily feasible to just have them all in. I mean, you look at Vrains. Vrains has so few characters, right? Let's try and catch up with chat again. Oh, that sounds very funny. I was shocked of Playmaker that he finds out there was a multiplier in Yu-Gi-Oh! Different style of dueling. So I don't think Go Rush is coming this year as a world. Maybe next year. I feel like this month will probably be Manga World or something that is more speed focused this year. Okay. I mean, we talked about this a little bit earlier. I think we'll either get No World, we'll get watered down Go Rush, we'll get like Go Rush but with like 3 cards from each character or something silly, like a really, really watered down version, or we're gonna get either Chronicles, which was Grand's theory, which I really like that theory, or, like the manga or Waking the Dragons or something. Like, I think the community has really wanted a Waking the Dragons world for a long time. I still don't think it can work very well unless they suddenly release like all of like the Valon armor cards as like real cards. But then if they're released as real cards, they'll be at the modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Power level, which means they'll be too good to actually come into Duel Links immediately. So I'm not really sure what the solution there is. Maybe next year. I feel this month will hopefully be a Manga World or something more speed focused. At least give us Mimi's son. I mean, that's what I would like. Good old Yosh. Epoch from Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush is like Tiger, except for the eyes. I mean, literally, one's the descendant of the other, right? So, did you just call Tiger a cheater? Listen, don't worry about that. Caught in 4K, I mean Epoch. Epoch is definitely a cheater. I don't think anyone can say anything against that. Epoch is 100% a cheater. I feel like Chronicles is more of a possibility, like if we're going by lore archetypes. Yes. Especially because we're getting the Dogmatica stuff now, and Albaz specifically is right there next to him. It would make some sense, right? But could you imagine Melfi? I'm just saying, right? Melfi in Duel Links. I would be so hyped to play Melfi in Duel Links. That would be so fun for me. I think there will be an announcement at Worlds that they're skipping a new world, but there'll be a huge fusion event / reveal. Yeah, I think it would be sensible to release fusions this, like Manica said, because I think I said this several months ago at this point, but fusions should be a big deal. My only issue is when they released Maximums in Rush, they released it as a mini box. Maximums theoretically should have been a much bigger deal than fusions. So by that logic, why would they give us a main box for fusion reveal when they wouldn't even give us a main box for maximum reveal. It's very strange to me. It's very strange. But, you know, it still could work like that. I hope that means an extra deck slot. Oh, man, my Fluffle deck, it needs that extra deck. It needs it. I think what I would like almost is give, like, skills a little tack on. Where, like, if the deck is broken, it doesn't get a new extra deck slot. But if the deck's, like, underperforming a little bit, you get, like, 1 or 2 extra deck slots. Just to be like, there you go. That's how we're going to balance this. You get some extra cards in your extra deck that really good deck doesn't get. Just let me do that. In season, she cheated. I saw the whole thing. Some fan are disappointed, but she got redeemed in season 3. Well, yeah, now she's, like, come out of the box. She's now not a annoying character. Imagine we get Zeus. Zeus would be insane. I can't imagine we get Zeus this early, but, you know, you never know. There's enough content from Rush to cover all next year. With a slow schedule we've had so far, it's more likely than we get all 7's content left in less than 2 months to give us Go Rush so early. But that's the thing. You don't have to give us all of the 7 stuff, right? You literally just don't do that. You do exactly the same. You know, we haven't finished Vrains yet, but we've got 7's, right? You just do that. You just would release it, give us some of the early stuff, and so we'd get, like, Jointech Rex, we'd get Bluetooth Burst, we'd get Galactica Oblivion, and then nothing else, right? We'd get, like, the basic bare bones, watered-down version of it, and that's it. Chemicalized Salamander would be really fun, though. I'd really like to get that. Maybe they will change his effect to be able to Xe summon in the end phase instead of main phase 2. We have Monarch decks. So what is the first wave of fusion in your opinion? I mean, we're going to talk about that in a little bit because I have, like, prepared something for that. There is Larry God card Synchro, the Aces. Oh, right, we're talking about the Aces. The Ace cards are, like, they're cool. I'm not the biggest fan, but, you know. So after Go Rush World, what comes next? You know, what we apparently only have about half a year left of Go Rush. So if they don't do another season of Go Rush, it'll be whatever comes after Go Rush, right? Whatever the next series is. Who knows? This is probably the most controversial question. Go Rush not finished yet. Yuga is the only MC who isn't interested in becoming king of games. I mean, he does want to become the Duel King. He just doesn't care about it that much, right? Because it's when Otis asks him to do it, he's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be it. I'm gonna be the Duel King. If they do Go Rush, will the voice lines be all Japanese? Well, we have the English version of Go Rush, the English dub, as far as I'm aware, is coming out soon. So we will have all the voices for it. So we just use them, right? Maybe in AnimeCon, they will drop a trailer. Season 3 of 7's would be great. And it's Dwan. Hello, Dwan. Welcome on in. You caught us talking about the leaks, talking about the Rush Duel stuff, the Speed Duel stuff, talking about different anime stuff. We're just all over the place right now. We're just kind of rambling about Yu-Gi-Oh! As we usually do here. If anything, Animation Chronicles would be biggest hype. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Like, there is obviously a lot of stuff in there as well. So, like, if it was Animation Chronicles, there's, like, a lot of cool stuff in there. Like, there's something for everyone. If you don't like Dark Magician, you'll like Melfi, or you'll like Six Sam, or you'll like Dogmatica, or you'll like... I don't know if we can call Zeus an archetype, but Zeus is there. Ice Barrier is one that I know a lot of people have been waiting for. Like, I think it would be really, really cool. What can you say about Yuga's story not ending? Well, Yuga's story is still going, so we'll have to see where that goes, right? Because they keep theorizing that Yuga's going to be Otus, and then it was like Yuamu's going to be Otus. But I will say, I am like 3 episodes behind on Go Rush. So, there may have been big revelations, because I saw on one of the Discord servers, they put that there is a big spoiler warning that do not talk about like the last 2 episodes of Go Rush. So, for all I know, there has been massive, like, spoiler stuff dropped, and I am just completely unaware of it. But as far as I am aware, we still have to go from there. Maybe launch at the same time would be good time to maybe also announce physical TCG Rush at the same time would make big hype. I mean, I would love that, which is why I don't think it's going to happen, because I never get what I want. I do want to see, like, lore anime. It is confirmed that Yuga really did return to the future after Season 2 of Go Rush. like lore anime of the archetype. I still really liked the live twin one. The VTuber from real life is so surreal. And Dogmatica / Albez lore is pretty interesting too. I mean, I'm just down. I want to play Dogmaticas. I want to play branded. So, like, bring out all of the Dogmatica cards, then bring out all the branded cards, and just let me summon Mirror Jade and Titaniclad, right? And then I'll be happy. That's all I need to be happy. It's not much to ask, right? Just release a deck that was very, very powerful at one point. It's fine. Tomato! Hola! Hello, Cyclone! Welcome on in! You've caught us talking about all of the leaks, the reveals, the hype, the anime. We've been talking about so much stuff. Show us your Vulcan, Tomato. You want to see my Vulcan? We'll get to playing in a little bit. We've still got some more stuff to talk about. We haven't even finished talking about the Rushdoll stuff yet. We got distracted. We started just rambling on about random stuff again. We still have this Roman skill, and the chat is like all in the way, so... No, that's not it. How do we do this? Should we just hide the chat? That's probably the easiest way to do this while we read the skill. So, Roman skill. This skill can be used if the only monsters with 1400 or more attack in your deck are Psychic type monsters. Can be used on turn 2 onwards. Choose one Psychic type monster from your field. Change its level to 5 until the end of this turn. Then if it was Candy, we can add a light attribute Psychic level 7 or jab up from your deck to your hand. So, this is interesting. First off, changing level to 5 does make it sound like we're getting Can Melody, because this card specifically says, return one other face-up level 5 or higher monster from your field to the hand. To shuffle one face-down card from your opponent's field into the deck. This card is very, very strong. This is probably the best Can card. I'm trying to, like, think if there is a better one. This is like the one that's definitely seen the most play, I'll tell you that right now. Being able to shuffle face-down cards to your opponent's field into the deck is extraordinarily powerful, especially if you can cycle this multiple times, which is very, very good. Then if your life points lower than your opponent, you can add a level 7 Psychic type normal monster from your graveyard to your hand, which is, you know, gets you back Candy from the graveyard, which again is nice. A plus body is always going to be really, really nice. The only problem is this card, obviously, we've only ever seen it see play alongside 3 copies of Roman pick. So it's kind of already nerfed going into this, so it's a little bit awkward, but we'll have to see what happens. Alright, let's try and catch up with chat again. Oh, Shui's here. Hello, Shui. The lore anime. Still really like the Light Twins one. I've already read that. God, this mouse is driving me nuts. Okay. Show us your... Oh yeah, the Skull Servant cards are pretty interesting. Once those skills are released, I'm going to grind them. It sucks Konami made Dogmatica unplayable in Duel Links right now as a pure deck. I mean, it's not great, but I'd rather have the cards than not have them, right? And eventually, theoretically, it should be, like, when we get everything. Roman is one of my favorite main characters, Luke and Yuga. The new Roman skill lets you play Essel and Torero. Yes. It is. Insert Shadow Lurker. Listen, right, we don't need Shadow Lurker. Don't worry about that. Or Dark Lurker, I should be talking about. Or are we talking about Shadow Ghoul? I think if you just combine Shadow Ghoul and Dark Lurker. Asana's deck is powerful too. Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush Yuamu will be battling everyone on Earth to take Monster Reborn. The new Monster Reborn is better than Japanese. Okay. So, what we've learned here is being able to choose a monster on our field, change level 5. That will give us fuel so that we can use Can Melody. Can Melody then shuffles one of your opponent's face downs back into their deck by putting, ideally, a Candy back into our hand, and then ideally we can also get a Candy from our graveyard. So we've -1'd our opponent, we've +1'd ourselves, and then because of the skill, we've also added another card to our hand. So we've effectively +2'd off of this. So that's already quite a good little resource engine, right? With that +2, we now have access to another high-level monster. And ideally 2 low-level monsters in hand. So now we can summon out both the Candies, tribute both to get out another high-level monster, which means we can also potentially now use Can Melody again. But we could only do that if we had a fresh copy of Can Melody. That is the issue. So what you ideally do with this card, and the way that this was played in the physical version, is you get 2 copies of Can Melody in rotation, and then you start using their effects on each other so you can keep reusing them. That is typically the way you use Can Melody. Whether or not we'll be able to do that is a little bit awkward because we don't have as many ways to plus. Usually, again, we'd have 3 copies of Roman Pick, which will stuff a load of stuff in the graveyard for us. It will put a load of candies in the graveyard for us, ready to set it up. And just having extra cards means you're able to just make these sort of plays where you can tribute out multiple boss monsters a turn very, very frequently. So we'll have to see how it actually goes. Where are we? You know what I mean? I'm just attack 1. Right, I need to really be careful with this. For some reason, can be used with the skill. Tomato's cooking something. Hahaha. Thanks for the comment, YouTube, by the tomato. Summon Candy plus Maginical, Tribute Maginical, Revive Mellow. Okay, with you so far. Use skill, search spell or boss, bounce Candy with Mellow or remove a set. Okay. Summon Candy, use spell, summon another boss. That's only 3 cards, being Candy plus Maginical plus boss/spell in hand. Search the one you don't have. I mean, what have you done with that combo though? You have, so we have 2 monsters, and it's regular Candy. So Candy plus Maginical. You have to have our graveyard set up. That's 2 cards. Tribute the Maginical to revive the Mellow. Okay, that's fine. Then use the skill to search a card. So we've now plussed. Bounce Candy with Mellow to remove a set. So again, that's fine. We've used the skill to make Candy level 5 and put it back in our hand. Summon the Candy again. Use the spell to summon another boss. So at this point then we're saying we either have to have the spell or the boss in the hand already and then search the other one. And so now we've got out a boss monster. Okay. I mean, that doesn't sound like bad, right? That doesn't sound awful. I can tell you that much. I don't know if that's going to be a difference maker to make this, like, really, really, really powerful. Effectively, you've gotten rid of a back row and summoned out 2 boss monsters, which is like, okay, that's definitely not a bad thing. So Can Melody is a weird one. So if we go to one of my old YouTube videos, we can see this was kind of a example deck of how people were playing this kind of engine. Now, obviously, again, this is a thingy deck. This is a Thunderbolt deck. So it doesn't play exactly in the same way, but as you can see, every single one of these lists is playing 2 copies of Can Melody. And the logic, again, is that we have so many ways to plus, right? Specifically, 3 Roman Pick is like the best way to plus. Also, Amuzi Performer is another really good way. Yeah, this is Amuzi Performer. To plus. So we have lots of ways to plus, basically. And then Ship of the 7 Treasures is another fantastic way, because once we've finished looping our Can Melodies and doing whatever we want, we can then get rid of one and draw 2 cards, right? So this is like the way that we used to play it in the physical version of the game. That leaves you with 2 other cards in hand, plus Candy if you had 1 engraved for Mellow. It's not early game plays, but it's going to be good for pushing for game. So my only question to that, Manicist, is, can't you just do something very similar with just Ice Arc? Like, can't you just, like, summon 2, tribute Ice Arc out, Ice Arc effect with the skill, immediately get back another body? You've got 2 bodies on the field for 3 cards. And the bodies are better. And then you still got 2 cards in hand. Like, again, you haven't got rid of a back row yet. But, like, it's easier. And the bodies are better. What is the new monster and skill will help you counter maximum? Yeah, but Ice Arc can't play back row removal. Ice Arc can play back row removal. You can totally play it. It's just awkward as hell. Okay, it's fine. Ice Arc, you can play 1. So you can either play like double Kime and like high roll, or you play 1 of the limit 3s, so either Swift Gaia or Yami Ruler, and then you play 2 copies of the back row removal. With 3 Mellow and 2 check, you're able to push more effectively than Ice Arc. Yeah, but then you don't get access to negate attack, right? Which can be scary depending on the situation. What if this new monster and skill will help you counter maximum? New monster and skill will help you counter maximum. I don't think that's going to be a thing. Because the new monster doesn't really help you counter maximums. And the skill doesn't really help you counter maximums. I don't know how that would work. But, do we have another example list in here? I can't remember if we did or not. Yeah, here was one. So it's another Wonderbolt list, but again, we have all the same, you know, the same cards. We've got the 3 copies of Roman Pick, we've got the 3 copies of Amusi Performer, we've got the 2 Can Melody. By far the one that's seen the most play, and again, what we would typically do is use this to just like loop them, is the way that this typically goes. I really hope we don't get Go Rush and just a Chronicle World. See, the more we talk about it, the more everyone's in agreement. We just want Chronicle World, and we don't want Go Rush yet. Like, the Rush players don't want Go Rush yet. The Speed players don't give a shit about Go Rush. Just give us a Chronicle World, Konami, okay? Or if you're not willing to do that, give us a skip. That's also fine, as long as you just keep releasing content at a good cadence. Or give us a funny meme one. Give us Waking the Dragons. It would be funny. I don't know if it would work, but I would be happy. I actually think Widespread might be better than Negate Attack here anyways. That is a take. I think for some of the more aggressive decks, which Psychic is, to be fair, there is merit to popping one of your opponent's monsters and then immediately afterwards going for a huge push, because it's easy to get damage in if your opponent has one less monster. Other than that situation, I would make the argument that I think Negate Attack is always better, because it works on maximums, it stops 3 attacks. There is never a situation in which Negate Attack doesn't work. It is always live, and it's always useful, right? So, I think it's hard to justify not playing Negate Attack when it's just useful against more things, right? Widespread was always best Legend Trap. What's a Negate Attack? I mean, you know what Negate Attack is, my friend. I shouldn't have to explain to you what Negate Attack is. Which is better, Negate Attack or Mirror Force? Again, it's a weird one. Mirror Force was super busted when it came out. Then people basically replaced it with Magic Cylinder, which is now like the best Legend Trap in the game. And then we did see a little bit of experimentation with people going to Negate Attack, but they were going with Negate Attack specifically because they had Negator Dragon, which is a monster that can weaken your opponent's entire board, but only if you have Negate Attack in your graveyard. Some people also did go back to playing Mirror Force, because people started not playing around Mirror Force because they didn't have to, because they only had to worry about Magic Cylinder. But in more recent times, we've also had Torrential Tribute and Compulsory Evacuation Device also seeing a lot of play, because right now we're in a meta where being able to deal with monsters when they're immediately summoned can be a lot more beneficial than waiting for the battle phase. But for the most part, Magic Cylinder is still widely accepted as the best Legend Trap in the physical game. It is a trap that will end your opponent's turn when you attack someone. So the main issue Mirror Force has is this. This guy. This is Mirror Force's primary issue. Right around the time we started getting really good battle traps that could destroy monsters. Well, I say right around, we had Dark Revelation. In a post-Dark Revelation world, when we started getting more widespread use traps, so things like Mirror Force is a good example, people started seeing a rise in play of cards like Steel Strike Dragon Metageas. So the main issue here is this card cannot be destroyed by battle or your opponent's trap card effects. Now that in itself is not too impressive, right? It itself is going to survive a Mirror Force. But what we then did start seeing is fusion monsters come out. And we started seeing cards like this see a much higher kind of increase in play. So this is Sturdy Strike Dragon Metageastar S. This is a fusion made with Steel Strike Dragon Metageas and the Dragon. So we can send the top card deck to the graveyard, and the important part is this second one. All face-up monsters on your field cannot be destroyed by battle or your opponent's trap card effects until the end of this turn. Also, this card can attack twice. So cards like this, which could either protect your monsters from being destroyed, or cards that could turn off your opponent's trap cards. So another good example of this would be things like Pitch Black Warwolf. Again, everyone should know this card from regular Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG Speed, whatever. Pitch Black Werewolf, your opponent cannot affect trap cards during the battle phase. So we started seeing more and more cards like this, which turn off back row. And as that came in, people, you know, those were now the counters that we brought in to deal with Mirror Force. So, like, it's awkward, right? Psychic struggle with... Right, let's scroll a bit so we don't miss any of the messages. mouse wheels. Again, doing my bloody head in. Did you read Metal Tronus? We haven't actually read that yet. So, okay, I'd rather go with Negate Attack then. Hey, nearly missed the stream again. Hello, Corono. Welcome on in. Psychic struggle with clearing monsters with the new skill and mellow plus widespread, and to check, it will be a good control deck. Negate attack is better for most decks, yes, but I prefer widespread and psychics. The thing is, I don't know if you can be a control deck in Rush without just having a shit ton of back row. That's what control is in Rush, right? It's because like every deck wants to pop monsters out the way and then swing in for game. Like, if anything, I'd say right now, Psychic is more of an aggro deck. I don't really see it being a control deck, unless, again, they suddenly get a load of traps that can protect it. And then, like... Because, like, the Noodles was a control deck, right? Like, you know, Trap Noodle was a control deck. I think you could even make an argument that Royal Rebels is a control deck. I don't know if we could say that Psychics is a control deck. Hey, nearly... Don't think anyone ever used Pitch Black in Speed. So Pitch Black Warwolf is a card that did see play when it first came out in the physical game of like just TCG. This was like back in like GOAT format, because you play it with cards like the Beatdown deck, or the Beast Down, I think it's called. So you play it alongside things like Enraged Battleox, which gave all of your Beast, Winged Beasts, and Beast Warriors trample, and then, or you know, piercing. And you'd play it with just things like Berserk Gorilla. And this was genuinely a powerful strategy. I literally did win a tournament playing Beast Down. This was a strong deck in, like, GOAT era. What have you gone over so far? The leaks and now talking about potential fusions? Kind of. We were still talking about the Roman skill, for the most part. We were just talking about how we could practically use this. We're talking about how it's basically foreshadowing that we're getting Can Melody. We were talking about the ways that we can use Can Melody and how it was used historically. So again, the way to use it historically, and again, the way that we played it in the physical game is not the way you're necessarily going to play it in Duel Links, because the card pools are different and skills are a whole thing. But what you would typically do is loop these cards. You would keep using their effects on each other, putting them back in our hand, having enough plus that we can then just keep doing it again and again and again. Again, I don't think we have, without the 3 copies of Roman Pick, doing that specific combo is going to be a lot more difficult. But that's kind of where you got to. You're kind of all caught up. But then we have Rush Duel Fusions. And this is where stuff gets kind of funky, right? I'm lost because I don't play Rush Duel. We'll try and make this as user-friendly as possible. But basically, we have some new stuff. Now, I think everyone is expecting fusions to come sooner rather than later. Galaxy, maybe not, right? I think Galaxy has been thrown in here because, you know, it's the only other type in the game that isn't already in the game, right? But we're getting to the point where fusions have to come out soon eventually. We're slowly approaching September, which is usually when the new worlds drop, if I recall correctly. It's like September-ish. So what would make sense to me is that would be a great time to just drop Rush Fusions, right? Just do it right then. Yo, hello, Bakura. Welcome. Okay, I'm going to play Galaxy and Rush now. I mean, I don't think Galaxy's going to come out not this early. Again, the only way Galaxy comes out, in my opinion, is literally if they drop the ball, release Go Rush World in September, give us, like, next to no Galaxy cards, and then everyone's unhappy. Which I think would be really dumb. But they could do it, because Konami is Konami. And half the time, we're all left scratching our heads over the decisions Konami makes. So who even knows? September, but yeah, Galaxy will be like Cyberse, a year early for code. September is the best month for new cards in Rush Duel. But because we're getting fusions, we do have all of these lovely fusion monsters. So let's talk about Cyborg first, right? So we have all of these lovely Cyborg cards. Cyborgs were the first fusion monsters shown in the show. I think, if I remember correctly, the very first one used was Metarion Ashura Star. It might not have been Ashura Star. It might be the Spellcaster one. It might have been... No, I'm pretty sure it was Ashura Star. I genuinely can't remember which was the first one. But it was used by a character called Yuri? I think his name was Yuri? No, Yuro? The issue is, there are the 6 Goha siblings, and they all have very similar names. Yuo. Okay, there we go. So I get them all confused quite a lot. Rush Fusions and a filler world for Speed in September, and Go Rush next year. No, we might get Yuri in September. I mean, fingers crossed. Yuo Goha and the best protagonist with it. And he beat the protagonist with it, yeah. But that's because the protagonist... Alright, first off, Yuga loses, like 12 times or something during 7s. Like, my man has the worst win rate for any protagonist ever. Except maybe Yuma. But Yuma is trash. So Yuga loses a lot, right? Now, when he gets his own fusions, he suddenly starts winning a lot, right? So there is that. But we'll talk about some of these cards real quick. We'll talk about some of these lovely, lovely cyborg monsters. Because this, when it came out, this was the first new type introduced into Rush Duel, right? This was before we had the other fusion types. This was before Galaxy. This was Cyborg, a brand new type. This was a huge deal. This was almost like when... What were they called in Speed? The new, like, Gazelle, the Mythical Beast stuff called. I cannot remember what the new type is called. It's called, like... what was it called? What was it called? Someone in chat will know. Illusions. Illusions. Thank you. Illusions. So this was like that, where it had just been kind of so long and we hadn't had new types. And it was like, oh, new types come out. Cyborg. Everyone's going to play Cyborg decks. It's going to be so cool. Playmaker only lost 1. Well, yeah, Playmaker's the best duelist, right? I mean, we all know that. A duelist who has no idea what they're dueling. But right, we'll talk about these. So these fusions are made using Imaginary Actor and Sword Dancer. Imaginary Actor is a low level, like level 2, 500 attack, 500 defense, normal monster. And all of the other fusion material for all of these cards are also normal monsters. So Sword Dancer is like a 1300 attack normal monster. Magic Juggler is like a 1300 attack normal monster. Snake Clown is the same. Greysaurus is 1400 attack normal monster. And so, in fact, they all might be 1400 attack, I forget. It doesn't matter. The point is they're all vanillas, right? And we fuse these vanillas to make these guys. So all of these cards basically have 2 effects. Sorry, so this is a gimmick of Rush Duel fusion monsters, is most of them have what's called a multi-choice effect. And that basically says you can use one of these 2 effects each turn, right? Now, all of the Metarions have the gimmick of they have a regular effect, and then they have the anti-their-own-type effect. So, for example, to make Metarion Ashura Star, we have to use Imaginary Actor and a warrior monster, Sword Dancer. So our anti-type card, or effect, is an anti-warrior effect, right? Duelist has no idea of dueling, 2 days until selection. Nothing beats the introduction of maximums in the 7's anime, but the fusion intro is also sick and creepy. I mean, all I can remember is, like, doesn't, like, Yuga hold, or is it Luke, like, holds up his duel disc to the sky as a meteor falls from the sky, crashes into his duel disc, and then the fusion card is put into his deck, and then he draws it, uses it, and then everyone goes, wait, isn't that cheating? And then they go, actually, in Article 72B, subsection A, it states that if a meteor strikes your duel disc and it puts an extra card in your deck, you just play on. And it's like, uh-huh. And it's like the dumbest moment, but it's so funny that you just go with it. That's most of 7. So much of it just doesn't take itself seriously, but then the bits that do take themselves seriously, like, are so good as well. But yeah, so this card's effect is destroy 1 face-down card in your opponent's field. That's good, right? It's just generically good. It's got good attack, 2800. It's got a good level at level 9. And then its other effect is 1 face-up cyborg-type monster on your field gains attack equal to the total attack of all face-up warrior monsters on your opponent's field until the end of this turn. So if you're against a specifically warrior deck, you could just gain a crap ton of attack, which is pretty good, right? It was Yuga. Now, the intro was the creepy puppets and people getting controlled. But yeah, what you said also happened later. The Luke Man. Ah, the Luke. Yes, that's right. I remember it was the Luke Man that we were talking about with the meteor. But Nail created Maximum. Nail did create Maximum. So then we've got Eracle. So again, I would expect us to get all of these, like, when fusions release, because if we released fusions without the cyborg cards, It would be like releasing Maximum without Yggdrago. It would just be weird. Like it wouldn't necessarily. It would be fine, but it would be off. It would feel off. Yeah, Yggdrago's intro was sick. Yeah, Yggdrago's intro was so good, right? The music that plays during that scene, just like when you see it like tower over, and then how it effortlessly just absolutely decimates Yuga. And then Yuga basically comes back, like, because basically, Nail kind of cheated to make maximums and give himself this like overpowered maximum card, and then Yuga kind of cheats back when he just makes the perfect counter to Yggdrago, just by saying, my guy gains your level and the difference in our life points, and then he's going to slap you and just kill your guy. It doesn't matter, I'm just going to kill you through it, I'm just going to OTK you. And it was like, aha, so you cheated, then I'm going to cheat back. It's like, But then we've got, this is the Spellcaster one, Eracle Star. So we can shuffle up to 3 monsters from your opponent's graveyard into the deck, which is, I mean, that's not an awful effect, but it's not very impactful. Ideally, when you do this sort of effect, you want to like do something else, right? Like shuffle 3 monsters from your opponent's deck into the graveyard, then weaken one of their monsters, or shuffle 3 monsters from your opponent's graveyard into the deck, and then draw a card or something. So I'm not a big fan of that first effect, but in the right matchup, it can be super, super important. Then we could shuffle up to 2 or we could shuffle up to 2 face-up spellcaster monsters from your opponent's field into the deck, which is amazing. Non-destruction, non-targeting. Just go away. Just off you go. So fantastic. The only issue of this is, how often are you going to be staring down 2 spellcasters? Like, if this came in the game right now, 7's Axel Road, but like, spellcasters aren't really a deck that usually summons out a wide board, like unless it's like 7's Axel Road going for like a big push game. Sounds like a typical old school Yu-Gi-Oh vibes. Fusions in Rush Duel, how will they work? Like, will we get Poly? Okay, we'll talk about that in a sec as well. Again, we're going to wait for the ads to go away before we start talking about this again. Yes, Poly is a legend card at 1 copy that fusions from hand or field, and Fusion is a normal spell at 3, but can be used only at fusion field. I mean, that's basically, that is the gist of it. But I'll show it off in a sec. So we have got the Fusion card loaded up. Because Fusion is kind of cool. Way later, some decks get their own Fusion cards. I think it's something I always liked from like the Duelist Kingdom arc, is almost every time that they use a ritual or a fusion spell, they fuse from the field, because it's more impactful than just throwing cards from your hand away. So I do quite like the way that Rush has it, where it's like you have to fuse from field using the fusion spell. So yeah, fusion, fuse by using face-up monsters from your field. Another big thing about this card is you can't use face-down monsters on your field. So if your opponent has a way to change something to face-down defenses like a trap card, which there are some cards that do that, you cannot use them to fuse. So it's a very, very big distinction. But yeah, as Corono said, we do have Polymerization as a legend card, which will let you fuse face-up, face-down, and cards from hand. So, and way later we get some decks get their own fusion cards, and even later Contact Fusion. Exactly. But where were we? We were talking about these guys. That's who we were talking about. Eracle Star. Then we have Cobra Star. It's a bit funky because it works against reptiles, and reptiles are, especially early on in the Go Rush in 7s, or in Rush, I should say, didn't really do much. Like, obviously, eventually we'll get the Yuga Goha stuff, and that will be really good. And then way later on, we'll get the Secret Investigator stuff, which is really, really good. But this card, we can either draw 2 cards, then send a card from hand to the graveyard, or up to 3 face-up reptile monsters on your opponent's field lose 1,000 attack/defense until the end of the turn, and then this card can attack twice. So, you know, it's got 3,000 attack. It's a big boy. It can weaken guys. It can attack twice. It's pretty good. How many fusion spell cards can you have in a deck? So fusion, the actual fusion, you can have 3. But then you can also have like a poly, or so the new elemental hero deck, right? Theoretically, you can play fusion, 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 miracle fusion, miracle fusion, miracle fusion, and polymerization if you want to. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but you can if you want, right? So, what is Yami Yugi's real name? Just Atem? Is that reason we're getting like a quiz? But then we have Landon Star, the dinosaur one, because Konami was like, nobody plays dinosaur. Dinosaurs are so beloved and we have so few cards. We're going to print a card specifically that just dicks on dinosaur players because we hate them. So this card is one face-up monster in your opponent's field loses 1500 attack, or all face-up dinosaur monsters on your opponent's field lose 2000 attack, which is so ridiculous, right? Just being able to weaken your opponent's board by 6000 is nuts. When we get Tracker, we're probably not getting Tracker. Realistically, if there was a duelist to cut, Tracker is probably one of the ones to cut. And then we have Metarion Vitrastar, which is using dragons. So an anti-dragon card might actually be kind of useful, right? Dragons are quite popular. Change one monster on your opponent's field to face-up attack position or face-down defense position, or destroy face-up dragon monsters on your opponent's field up to the number of cyborg monsters on your field. So if you're able to get out 2 fusion monsters, you can pop 2 dragon monsters, which is, again, really, really good. Would Crystal Beast be in Rush Duels? Realistically, I don't think so. Just because the face-up, like, spell card mechanic of them is going to be a little bit awkward, so I don't think we would see that. But then we'll talk about some of our other fusions. So the very first protagonist fusion we get is Seven's Paladin. Seven's Paladin is a really cool card. I do really like this card. So it's made using Seven's Road Magician and Swordsman of Roadstar. Swordsman of Roadstar, again, is like a 1200 attack, like level 3 normal monster, nothing particularly special. We can send the top card of a deck to the graveyard. This card gains attack equal to the number of different attributes in both players' graveyards times 400 until the end of this turn. So both players' graveyards means that you're more likely to get to that 6. And if we have all 6 different attributes, 6 times 4 does mean we're gaining 2400 attack. 24 plus 29 equals a grand total of 5300. So 5300 attack, big Seven's Paladin is pretty strong. But if your opponent has all defense monsters on their board, or if we feel like we need a trap card so we can dig, we can shuffle 1 monster from our graveyard into our deck and draw 1 card, which is, again, a really good effect. These are 2 fantastic effects. Big Unga Bunga damage, try and kill your opponent, or gain advantage and recycle. Just 2 fantastic effects. A really good card. On the other hand, I am super excited for both the new box and fusions coming soon, but on the other hand, I feel like the meta won't change at all after the box, and neither will UO Cyborg deck. Just the already strong decks getting stronger with fusions. So, machines don't really get a good fusion for a while. The first, like, good machine fusion is going to be Cyber Dragon. Right? It's going to be like Cyber Twin, Cyber End, Cyber Rush. The other machine fusion they get is, God, what is he called? It's like CEO something? Yeah, it's this guy. Warrior Worker, or Worker Warrior, Sinister Chairman. So this is an okay card, but not great, right? So pay 600 life points, gain attack equal to the number of machine type monsters in your graveyard times 200. That's fine. You know, it's not as good as Mirror Innovator, but it's fine. To the end of the turn, then you can place a Salary Slash or Battle Demotion. Now, Salary Slash is not particularly good. Battle Demotion is actually quite a good trap card. From your graveyard at the bottom of your deck, and if you do, you can draw 1 card. So, it's okay, but you do then have to run this, which is a level 7 monster with 2400 attack. If your opponent has a face at level 7 or higher monster on the field, so 1 monster may hand to the graveyard. Set up to 1 of each Salary Slash and Battle Demotion from your graveyard to your spell and trap zone. And again, it's 24, has no way to boost above 24, so it can't beat 25s. It's a bit mid. Yeah, the already strong decks against stronger fusions, but they got Innovator, which just still shits on fusions. You're not wrong. Innovator is a lot easier to summon and a lot easier to use than fusions, typically. Inject Seven's Paladin straight into my veins. Love me some SAR. I would love some more Sevens cards. How about Seven's Road Chariot? Seven's Road Chariot is way too early for that. Seven's Chariot is it just called Seven's Chariot? I think it's just called Seven's Chariot. I think it's there, right? It's right there. Yeah, this card is too good right now. So first off, Magiarm's Beast Gearpard is a fantastic card already. It's just a good card on its own. So that's one reason we wouldn't get it this early. We can send the top card of our deck to the graveyard. This card gains attack equal to the number of cards in both player spell trap zones times 500 in this turn. That's going to cap out at 3000, so potentially this thing can get up to 6000 attack. And this turn, this card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Then you can destroy face-up cards in your opponent's field up to the number of cards in your spell and trap card zone. So again, 2 really, really strong effects. The main reason I don't think we'd get this early is because we don't want to release Gearpard into the game this early. Because Gearpard is, again, a really good and sometimes really sticky card. So it's a spellcaster earth monster, and has a continuous effect that if you have a card in our spell and trap card zone, gains 200 attack, so it goes up to that, 2500 during our opponent's turn as well. Also, this attack position card cannot be destroyed by battle during your opponent's turn. So it's just sticky. It's annoying. It's good. I don't think we want to bring this card out this early. For you, Tomato, who is best duelist, Yuga or Udius? Alright. Now, there are... Alright, the correct answer of who wins the most, who has the stronger deck, that's going to be Udius, right? Udius is a character that is written to win almost every game they play. And his deck does get kind of nutty. But I prefer Yuga as a character, personally. I think Yuga has a lot more flaws, which do come through. He's a lot more interesting and complicated character than Udius. But yeah, I would... Udius is stronger, has to be, right? We probably just get Gaia the Battle Ruler and Ride Across Ash, Hero of Chaos and stuff like that. I mean, Battle Ruler is not bad, right? Battle Ruler is... Yeah, Battle Ruler is insane. This is the really, really good one. This card is nuts. Like, Gaia is... Unironically, the Gaia the Fierce Knight deck in Rush is really strong. And this is their best boss monster. Just being able to keep popping your opponent's back row and having a backup strategy of being able to attack directly is really good. And just, again, a 2600 attack monster that can attack directly in a 6000 life point format is really, really strong. So, like, don't underestimate him. But yeah, then we'll go and talk about, I guess, the one that we were talking about before. Ride Across Ash, Hero of Chaos. So this is made using Ride Across Hero of the Dawn and Dark Sorcerer, which is, as everyone should know, the 1500 vanilla for spellcasters. So against that top card deck to the graveyard, this card gains attack equal to the number of monsters on the field times 300 until the end of this turn. So at the very least, this is going to gain 300, but chances are it's going to gain 1500, right? Something like that. Olo, I stopped after the first line and thought the shuffle back is the main effect. My bad. Yeah, it's pretty good, right? Gaia the Battle Ruler is really good. Or we can look at all face down spell traps on our opponent's field and destroy one of them. This card is actually pretty good, right? Ride Across Ash, Hero of Chaos, is a good card. The problem is we have to play Ride Across Hero of the Dawn in our deck to make this, which is a really bad card. So if we ever draw Hero of the Dawn without a way to make this fusion, we kind of got the worst of both worlds. But if we can make this guy, he is a good boss monster, right? In Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush, Zuijo is the only character beats maximum. Well, Udius beats both of the others, but again, he uses maximums in both of those duels. He beats both the Sea Serpent brothers. I'm sure that Manabu loses again, not just to Zuijo. I'm sure he loses to someone else as well. Like, doesn't he lose to the Dice Girl at Epoch? I'm trying to remember now. I'm really just trying to remember now. They beat the Sea Serpent twins, yeah. Manabu also loses, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what I remember. And now we'll talk about some Luke fusions. This is Luke's original fusion. Hey, it's Sakadetsu. Welcome on in. So this is Hyper Strike Dragon Dragia Star F. He didn't also lose against the fish head. He did. He did. He lost to... What was his name? Something Sugetsu, but I cannot remember what his name was. But yeah, he does lose to him as well. What are you cooking today, Mr. Tomato? We're going over the leaks, and we're talking about potential things that could happen, cards that could come out, right? High Dragon type. Yeah, this is a High Dragon type monster. Just like, again, if we go back to 7th Paladin, he is a magical knight rather than a spellcaster. And that is also something to take note of, is that these types, if we're talking about the anti-type cards, for example, Erical Star specifically shuffles 2 spellcasters. It does not shuffle magical knights, which means all of these anti-type cards don't actually work against most of the fusion monsters, which is very, very awkward. Who is the dragon? We can show you the dragon. So his name in the show is the Star Dragon, because there's like a star icon in his name. But we've written the star instead of the dragon. But there isn't a star icon. Oh, there is a star icon there. You could see it. You can see the star icon. So this is the dragon. Just like all of the preliminary fusions, it's made using one shitty little normal monster and a boss monster. So nothing particularly interesting about the dragon, except that he is the fusion material. Cyborg. No, she didn't. Epoch best girl, and she would never cheat. I don't know how to tell you this, Corino. We might have to have a little talk later. Good old Celeb Rose deck. Oh, good old Celeb Rose deck. I love Celeb Rose. It was nerfed prematurely, and I hate it. Vanilla? Huh? I mean, yeah, that's how all the fusions work in, at least at the beginning of Sevens. It's always boss monster, crappy vanilla. That's how it works. That's how they always work. And instead of rolling, she just rolled the dice to number. Alright, so anyway. Dragiastar. If all monsters in your graveyard are high dragon and or dragon. So this is very important. Going forward, a lot of the dragon cards have this written on them. So dragon are the most xenophobic type in Rush Duel. They specifically have a load of effects that say everything in your graveyard has to be just dragons and high dragons or I don't work. Which is really cool, right? That's almost like having a Rush Duel or a Duel Links limitation on one of your skills built into the class. Which is cool, because it does mean we then don't see dragons splashed as much in other decks. We do just get to see pure dragon decks, which I think is quite healthy for the game, personally. But we can send top card of the deck to the graveyard. This turn, this card gains 900 attack, and it can make up to 2 attacks on monsters. So 3,900 attack can attack 2 monsters. That's cool. Or, this turn, this card can attack twice. So just 2 attacks willy-nilly. And if it attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage. So just 2 attacks, which means they can be direct attacks. And we get that piercing. So if our opponent just sets 3 monsters in front of us, we get to slam into 2 of them. If 2 of those monsters have 0 defense, we've just done 6,000 damage. Our opponent is dead. So this is a really big issue if decks have to be playing 0 defense monsters. Because even right now, a lot of the good monsters have 0 defense. Siesta Terrera has 0 defense. Even the Dragon has 0 defense. So if you're having to just play these cards, you can just get FTK'd out of nowhere, not FTK'd, OTK'd out of nowhere by cards like Hyper Dragiastar F. So in general, again, just a really, really good one. And then we get Seven's Gears, the Magical Dragon Knight. I mean, we're not talking about Seven's Gears today, my friend. I think if that came out, it would break the game. Now it's totally fair. Very good fusion. So now we'll talk about some of these other ones, because again, we have just heard that we're getting Illusion Strike Dragon Mirageus, so we thought we'd talk about its fusion. This is Fantasia Strike Dragon Mirageastar F. Another high dragon. Send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. Up to 3 face-up monsters on your opponent's field lose 1,500 attack at the end of this turn. This turn, this card can make up 2 attacks on monsters, or this turn, this card can attack directly. So, 3,000 attack that can attack directly is really, really strong. So if our opponent has face-up attack position monsters, we can weaken them and kill 2 of them. If they have a load of defense monsters, we just attack over them and don't care. So another really, really good one. The Dragon, another one. Yeah, all of Luke's fusions are going to be using the Dragon as their fusion material. And then we'll go to the last Luke fusion we're going to talk about, Sturdy Strike Dragon Metagearstar F. So once again, Steel Strike Dragon Metagears and the Dragon. Then the top card of it to the graveyard. All face-up monsters on your field gain 500 attack at the end of this turn. Make it 2 attacks on monsters. All face-up monsters on your field cannot be destroyed by battle or by your opponent's trap card effects until the end of this turn. Also, this card can attack twice. This effect is so bonkers. This second effect is insane. This first effect is also good. I don't want to downplay that first effect. This second effect is so good. It just lets you attack through anything. You just don't care. You literally need negate attack to stop this, and it's so, so good. So now we'll talk about some of the psychic cards. So now Roman gets to be a little bit special here because she gets 2 fusions that use the same material. So she can choose if she wants to make one of 2 different monsters. So one of these in the show was played by Roman, and one was played by Roman's mentor, or like her idol. So you know, take that with a grain of salt, but we will probably be getting both of them at some point. But yeah, Prima Gitana and Amalilith. Then the top card of your deck to the graveyard. This card gains attack equal to the number of monsters in your opponent's field times 1000 to the end of this turn. So this is kind of like Prima Gitana's effect, right? Except it only works on itself, but it gains a lot more. This turn, if this card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's trap card effects. So that basically means we're going to try and gain like 3000 attack, got to 5900, and gain trap destruction prevention, which is so good. Or we just pop a back row, just a free back row pop. This is the real reason why Jamp's set is limited, because we're going to give back row pop on the fusion, right? That's the real reason. Omega Psychic, exactly. You think we will get the Lukeman transformation skill? We have to, right? We have Hangry Roman. We really didn't need Hangry Roman, but we have it. So if we don't get the Lukeman transformation, it's just going to be weird. Who is Manabu to Gavin? I'm still confused. Manabu is Gavin's, like, great-great-great-grandfather or something, is the way that I've looked at it. Then we have Princess Omega the Shining Megastar, which is the other one, which once again uses Prima Gitana and Amalilith. We can change the battle positions of all monsters on your field. Then you can make one face-up monster on your opponent's field lose attack equal to the number of monsters on your field times 800. So rather than it getting a big boost, we give our opponent a massive minus. Or we can shuffle up to 7 cards your opponent's graveyard into the deck, which can be really good. Now, it's not necessarily super impactful, this second effect, but in the right matchup, this effect is super bonkers. I personally have always preferred Omega Gitana, but Princess Omega is like an okay substitute, right? How many fusions does Seven's Road have? Like 5? Something like that? Alright, let's do this. This should. Alright, so we have Seven's Geas, the Magical Dragon Knight. This card is completely overpowered and should never come out. We have Magician of Dark Sevens, which is made using Seven's Road Magician and Darkness Zero Rogue. We have Master of Seven's Road. This one was a very popular one, because this card has a permanent effect to gain attack, continuous effect, so it gains attack even on your opponent's turn, and can gain piercing, which is very strong. We have Seven's Chariot, the Magical Knight, which is another really strong one. We have Seven's Paladin, which we kind of talked to at length earlier, so it's 5. Then we have Transami Road Rhynak, which is the boss monster of Udius, combined with the boss monster of Yuga, so that's now 6. And then Seven's Road Charm Witch isn't, it just mentions it, so 6. So 6 fusions. 6 fusions with Seven's Road Magician. Of them, all of them are good. None of these cards are bad. The worst one is probably Magician of Dark Sevens, and it's not even a bad card. It's bad because you have to play a bad card in your deck to make it, because Darkness Zero Rogue is really bad. Galaxy. Yeah, it's a Galaxy monster. Don't worry about Galaxy. We'll get into that in a little bit. It's a shame it doesn't have 7 fusions. I mean, we still have time. There is still time. So next up, we're going to talk about Yamiterasu, the Divine Ruler, which is a Celestial Warrior. Now, this card, some players think this card is Cancer Incarnate. This card is a big old floodgate, and I kind of love it. I love this card. I love the art. I love the effect. I think it is really cool. So this is Yami Ruler and Nidokuri, the Celestial Seamstress. We can send the top card back to the graveyard, and then either, until the end of your opponent's next turn, while this card is face up, it gains 500 attack, so 3,500 during our opponent's turn. Also, neither player can special summon level 9 or lower monsters in face-up attack position, which means your opponent cannot summon their fusion monsters in attack mode. They have to play them in defense mode. What is a fusion monster in defense mode going to accomplish? If you summon a Dragiastar or you summon a Seven's Paladin in defense mode, it just gets killed the next turn. It doesn't do anything. It's so powerful, right? We get a 3,500 guy. Your opponent basically needs a maximum to out it, or they need like a TSA or something else. But even if they use a TSA, they still have to go to the battle phase to kill it, at which point we still haven't actually done a big fusion push. So it's just so good. To be honest, Tomato, Konami is making the same story as Duel Monster and GX, which has similarities like Contact Fusion and Fusion, for example. They're reminiscing Yu-Gi-Oh! In new format. Then where is my rituals? That's what I'm saying. Where are the rituals at? Light Galaxy and Dark Galaxy decks both great. Yes, they are both very good. So it's perfect for my 0 gem spellcaster deck. Basically, yes. Chances are they will give out some sort of fusion for free. Now, what that fusion's going to be is a big question mark on it, right? It could be Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, but, you know, why wouldn't you put Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon in a big bundle, right? Or some sort of like selection box, because you know people are going to buy it. People are going to try and get their hands on a Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon if Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon is actually meta, right? They're going to go for that. We could also get something like, what are the other like nostalgia bait fusions? There aren't any legends. That would be like an easy one to go for, but yeah. We really need Rituals Reimagined, like you said before. Something like Ritual Monsters in extra deck, and then Ritual Spells in main deck. That's what I would like personally. $5 they will give us the Gaia Knight Vanilla as a fusion. Gaia Knight Fusion is actually a good card, right? So if we go and take a look quick. So, right. Gaia the Dragon Champion doesn't look like much, right? It's kind of whatever. He's 2600 attack, 2100 defense. That's not very good. It's crap. He's only level 7. He's bad, right? But Dark Battlegrounds, field spell. While this card is face up in the field zone, all face-up monsters on the field with 2100 original defense. Oh look, he's got 2100 original defense. That's weird. Gain 500 attack. Oh, that means he's now 3100. That's pretty good, okay? 31 is a more respectable attack stat. Then, if Gaia the Fierce Knight or Gaia the Dragon Champion attacks a defensive monster, inflict piercing damage. So now, we can get a 3500 piercer. That also means that our fusion material in Gaia the Fierce Knight is now a 2 tribute 2800 attack piercer. So that is pretty good, right? And that doesn't end there, because we also have Intercepting Gaia, which I can't show particularly well there. Let's open a new one. So Intercepting Gaia, this trap card. When your opponent normal or special summons a monster while you have a face-up level 7 monster with 2100 defense on your field, change one face-up monster your opponent's field to face-down defense position. Then if you have Gaia the Dragon Champion face-up on your field, you can destroy one face-down card on your opponent's field. So we can flip the card down and then pop it. So if we get the Gaia support to go along with it, Gaia the Dragon Champion is actually pretty good. And there's one more card, which is this one. Monster Convocation. So we can send one monster from our hand to the graveyard, draw one card. Then you could special summon a non-effect monster with 2000 attack or 2100 defense from your graveyard. And guess who has 2100 defense? That is not an effect monster. That's right, it's Gaia the Dragon Champion. If we get his support, Gaia the Dragon Champion becomes actually pretty good. They haven't released Ritual yet, maybe soon. Yeah, I was rather disappointed by Contact Fusion as the new thing. Yeah, same here. I thought it was a bit cheap. Nearly as disappointing as Equip Spells with literal summoning chance. Equip Spells were cool entirely because you can combine them with the other new mechanics, right? You can't really combine a maximum and a fusion. That's kind of weird. But you can combine an Equip Spell and a fusion. You can combine an Equip Spell and a maximum. So I think that's where it got kind of interesting. That's where it got cool. But if it speaks to Maximum Deck fan, and I would love more Maximums and actually new mechs. I mean, yeah, mechs are so damn cool. New mechanics. Ritual is way better than Contact Fusion. I think so, at least. Yeah, okay, you sell me on these cards. I think, again, it depends what support we get, but they can be really, really cool. And now we'll talk about the elephant in the room. And this is probably going to be irrelevant. I'm gonna preface this by saying this is probably not important information because I don't think we're getting Go Rush. But Galaxy is a thing, so we will briefly touch on it. Transamu Rhynak, they made a huge deal about this card when it came out because it is a level 4 non-legend monster that has 1600 attack. And also, all of the normal monsters from the Galaxy archetype have really funny flavor text. So, for example, Transamu Rhynax is War 2 Zen, Maniac, you die, which is something that basically Udius will say. He will like use this as like its attack chant when he's about to win the game. But yeah, this is Transamu Rhynax. This is like Udius's like soft main monster. It's not like his like super boss, but it's his like his first like awesome true good nights. Exactly. Speaking of, here's Galactic Oblivion. This is his actual boss monster. It's a vanilla. It has 2500 attack and 2500 defense. War 2 Zen, awesome true good night. Again, not super interesting. Galaxy is meta in one format. So Galaxy isn't super meta right now in the physical rush game, but it's like, it's not bad. It's just not like a big tournament winning deck right now. But yeah, really good card. But the main gimmick that Galaxy have when they get going, when like fusions come out, is they are modular. And what we mean by that is, when we get to their fusions, they have shit like this. 2 light attribute Galaxy type monsters. No other deck, at least... So there are now a couple that do have like the odd one like that, like this. But Galaxy was the first one, which is like, you can use any material for this. As long as it's a light attribute Galaxy, we don't give a shit what it is. So that was kind of Galaxy's gimmick for a long time. And they still kind of hold that. There are kind of a couple of others that don't do that now. But yeah, there is that. Dayu Maniac, he says to the guy who just really likes jerseys. Exactly. Zuijo getting new stuff for Contact now, so Dark Galaxy comeback incoming. Yeah. I've always been a big fan of the Light Galaxy, but this card specifically is pretty bonkers, right? So we can shuffle 5 Galaxy-type monsters from our graveyard into the deck, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. This turn, this card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's trap card effects. We've said that a lot today, haven't we? It's almost like Mirror Force was a big problem, so we put in a lot of card effects that said they couldn't be destroyed by trap cards, so that Mirror Force didn't just win every game. Then you can make this card gain attack equal to the number of monsters in your graveyard times 300. So this thing can get really, really, really big. Cowards need to print the fusion field spell. I mean, that is one thing they could do. So if we go over here and we go to the shorts, we should have... Gotta remember where it was now. Is it this one? It must be this one. But we'll pause the music quickly. I don't know how loud this is going to be. It's not loud at all. Why is it muted?
The 7 treasures.
There we go.
Extra Plora. Draw.
Right. This is just like a standard like Light Galaxy turn.
Now Extra Plora. So we will fire off that effect. Mill some cards. Rhynac back to my hand. I will activate Secret Order, Oblivion. Then we'll activate Fusion.
What a handsome man.
Combine all 3 of our guys into Eternal Galactica Oblivion. Then we're going to activate Monster Reborn, bring back Extra Plora, use Extra Plora effect, and take back Fusion. Can normal summon out Galactica Jamais Vu, activate Fusion, and summon Boat Daddy. Throw 1 card of my opponent's spell and trap zone. So I can do that. And I can summon out Rhynac, and then I can activate Eternal Galactica Oblivion. Yes, I would like to gain the attack. I don't know why I wouldn't want to gain the attack. Alright, so this one can't be killed by traps.
GG.
Oh wow, okay. I didn't realize I'd milled that much and he was going to gain that much attack. But yeah, I guess if you just draw well, Galactica Oblivion's pretty strong.
Yeah, but that's basically the gist, right? You can just spam out a bunch of stuff, keep recycling fusion. You can even use the Boat Extra Plora to pop your opponent's back row, make the boss monster really, really big. Like they've got 7,100 attack. And this was like turn 2 or 3 of the duel. Like this was quite early on in the game still. Mr. Tomato, Reactor Tomato. Exactly. But this is just an idea of like what this can do. What, Daddy? Yeah, Boat Daddy. Don't forget about Boat Daddy. No one should ever forget about Boat Daddy. But yeah, Extra Plora lets you get back a polymerization, or a fusion card, and a Light Galaxy from the graveyard, which means you can just immediately summon it out, use its effect to pop another card, which is just... Again, just all of this extra plussing. And that's what the game becomes in the future. We do get just a bunch of plussing effects that just let us fill up our hand and do all these really long combos. So it's just really, really strong. But yeah, this is an idea of like what we could get in the future with these like Light Galaxy cards. Also, everyone should go check out my YouTube and check out my shorts because I haven't made any in a long time, but I like making them. I don't think there's really much more really talk about with these, right? I mean, I guess just as like, since we were talking about fusions, I could show off... Oh, this is one where we missed lethal twice. Let's go for this.
And the Cyber Dragon first. Alright,
this is Cyber Dragons.
Normal summon, Cyber Serpent. Activates effect. Normal summon, Cyber Serpent. We'll activate its effect. We'll then...
Oh, look who it is, Mirror Innovator.
Summon out...
Who doesn't love Mirror Innovator?
We are then going to activate Cyber Entry. Bring back Proto Cyber Dragon. We'll then activate Power Bond. Cyber Twin Dragon. Activate Ancient Barrier. So I can shuffle 2 cards back into my deck, and in exchange, 2 of my machine monsters cannot be destroyed by traps.
More trap
Summon
protection.
this
We're just going to keep seeing that as well.
Effect. We will pitch. Didn't matter too much. We just wanted to draw. Okay, that is actually the best draw we could have got. We will tribute to summon out the Jinzo. Activate Mirror Innovate. Go to battle. We'll attack with our Cyber. Attack with our Cyber. I was actually meant to only send one back to give this piercing. Oh, I'm a dum-dum. Oh, we've just thrown. I can't attack with non-light monsters.
Oh.
We special summon the
And yeah,
Cyber.
that was us misplaying. But again, it's another one of those. You can make these like big, ridiculous plays. And this is why I'm a little bit worried about 6,000 life points. Because we can do shit like this, right? You can summon a Cyber Twin and still have like a Mirror Innovator that can have piercing. And in the future as well, we're going to get stuff like Jinzo. We're going to get stuff to turn off back row. We're going to get Pitch Black Werewolf. And just make it so the traps can't even save you. Like, it's so awkward having just the 6,000 life points. This is how Tomato's addicted to Rush Doors. He just loves Rush. I do love Rush. I do love Rush. Favorite decks from Look and overall are Sea Serpent, Blaze Fiends, lol. I just love the designs and decks. And then dice, but for 2 of those 3, I have to wait for late go rush. I mean, they might bring stuff quick before that, right? We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think we really have anything like... I mean, there's like the OTK with that. That's kind of funny. It is Dynamics. I might actually put this on quick. For once. God, my hair looks so bad on this one.
Yeah, good luck.
Oh.
Oh, it's been so long.
Good luck, buddy.
Hello there.
Oh my god, this is so ancient as well. This is so old.
Well, guess what?
No way.
We just opened the maximum. Well, we'll activate the effect.
2 of my back row are fusion.
Oh, that's rough, man.
Shouldn't have put them both down.
Well, just fear the wrath of Great Imperial Dino Carriage Dynamics.
It's an old game. The old game was so good as well.
You can't beat turn 1 Dynamax maximum.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're not wrong.
Some things just never change, right? Sometimes turn 1 maximums in the future are pretty good, and turn 1 maximums right now are pretty good, right? Some things, the more they change, the more they stay the same. Let's check that back on. Yeah, OTKs would be too easy. Yeah, it's an awkward one. It's definitely an awkward one. The look on Tomato being hyped. Man, it's one of those things where I absolutely go all in on this stuff, right? Like, I get so into the card game and I'm enjoying it. It's so good. But that's why, like, it's... I don't dislike Duel Links with Rush Duels in it right now. But just compared to what it's going to be in the future, when we get those new cards, when we get to, like, start comboing off and doing these more intricate plays, the game gets so much more engaging and gets so much more fun. Right now, it's kind of still just kind of unga bunga, slap down guys attack. And, like, that's fine, but I'm excited for what is going to be, not for what we currently have, right? Which is why every time a new box comes out, I'm like, oh, one step closer, one step closer. We're getting there. You think we will get Gantry Dragon as UR and maybe Drake Crusher SR in the new box? I mean, both are basically soft confirmed through the accessories. I mean, potentially, right? I think it would make sense, right? It would make sense. Yuo versus Yuga's Vast Vulcan was an epic duel. Too bad Yuga lost. I mean, Yuga loses a lot, maybe we just get used to it at this point. I would say they both might be in event. That is a good point. They might be. It would almost kind of make sense. Because obviously in our box prediction video, we did predict we were going to get both of them. We also predicted we were going to get Silver Mountain, and we predicted we were going to get Constructor Fighter Mixer. But the thing is, if we know we're getting a Super Mini, Super Minis only have 20 cards. Like, I mean, we think we showed that towards the end here. Like, Super Minis have a total of 20 cards, right? 3 URs, 5 SR, we have 5 R and 7 N. So, like, you can kind of math out what the box is going to be already, right? UR is going to be Mirageus. Another UR is going to be Melody. so we only have one other UR to get, right? If it was Gantry, then bam, that would be the third one. Future Tomato watching past Tomato. It's just easier than like going around and flicking between it. We've already done the legwork. We don't have to do it again. Then there's like 5 SRs, which again, I don't even know what we're going to get from Psychic and Dragon. Right? It's... Third Gantry matching the skills. I mean, it could be. But, like Manica said, it could also just be in the event. Because there is going to be a rerun, and we will need a UR and an SR for that event. Prison Bitch SR? I mean... Could be. Could be. Also, I'm not a big fan of calling Mummy a bitch, but, you know. We'll have a talk about that later, my friend. There she is. You will put respect on Diankita, the security master, okay? 1 UR per skill. Recycling is good for the environment. You know, nodders. Nodders to that acceleration gate. How was the background music pro? But. It's weird. I don't know what else we're going to get in this box. Because again, we only had 1 Super Mini prior to this, right? We've literally only had the 1 Super Mini. And with only 1 Super Mini, that does mean that we don't really have any precedent, right? With only just 1, they haven't decided anything like, we don't have guidelines for how Super Minis are going to be released, other than the fact that they will probably still have 20 cards. Because again, we only have the 1 Super Mini, right? So we're going to check out the Super Mini. But this one, specifically, was very anime, right? This one was very... It's the Roa Roman band members only, and we have the 20 cards, right? I play Psychics... I play Psychics. I'm not of rational mind. Right. I mean, Psychics is a cool deck. Like, I feel bad for Psychic players. Like, Psychics never been, like, my main deck. But, like, I've always liked Psychics. I've always liked the idea of Psychics. But yeah, I don't know what else they're going to put in the box. Because again, if we say... Let's go on a limb and say that it's going to be a worm box as well, right? So we got, what, 1 copy of Mirageus. This would be Melody. This would be Gantry. Then we'd have Drakrush, Security Master potentially. Then another SR could be... God, like... I don't really know what you... I would assume there would have to be at least something else in here that's Psychic. I don't know which Psychic card we put in. Maybe even something like a Muzi Performer. Or we could put in, like, Progress Potter. I think Progress Potter is, like, a whole can of worms they just don't want to open. 1 UR and 2 SRs in this box, unrelated to events of that time, by the way. I know the 3 URs. Great Magical Sheep Girl, Mi-chan, Max Wool. Right middle and left piece. It doesn't even exist yet! It's not a real card! We're not going to get it in Duel Links before it's printed. 1 UR and 2 SRs in this box, unrelated to events of that time, by the way. I'm trying to think. Because we're kind of... still in that weird place where we're still kind of at the Sevens tournament, like the festival, whatever it was called. Maybe the Psychic Foolish Burial card, Ruler, Guard, and Gazelle. Alright, to be fair, again, these weren't cards that were specifically used by those duelists, but they were still homages, right? Dark Doom Dead Ruler is still an homage to Tombs, who is a member of the Royal Roman Band. Thunder Gazelle is still a good Thunder card, which is a representation of Tyler, who again is in the Royal Roman Band. So, like, the Guard is the only one that's kind of very standout-ish as being a bit weird. I still stand by this is a Tombs card, and this is a Tyler card. Even though they're not, they kind of are, right? We're kind of squinting at it, right? Like, to me, those still make sense as you bring them in here. Because we still want Fiend support, Psychic support, Zombie support, and Thunder support. The Guard is a card that was brought in specifically to try and deal with Hell Tuning Invasion, which was like a really important deck at the time. It was basically not quite tier 0, but it was almost tier 0, you know what I'm saying? No, I get that. I mean, we could get cards that could be related to the Machine Cavalry Club, but newer cards or cards they didn't use, which we could predict. I think it becomes very difficult, though, because where the URs are already split among 2 characters that we know aren't in the Heavy Cavalry Duel Club, I think it could be more likely that we pivot to the Sevens tournament arc. Because potentially, what we could see... crap, what's he called? Yen? Oh. Alright. We could see Sneezing Greedazoles as like an SR, right? Now, there isn't really much precedent for this, but this is a boss monster that was used during the tournament arc, which is the same tournament arc where we did see like Mirror Gears played, and we did see Mellow D played, right? So theoretically, we could get this card. Is this card gonna see play? But it's on the table, right? In September, with Fusion Intro, it is extremely likely we get you as a character. You think we get another new character before. It's weird. I think it would make sense to me to have Tiger as a playable character, right? It would make sense to me. Sushi Fairy and the other cooking deck. So yes, those are from the training arc. So those also would make some sense. The only problem is they're not very good. I can't remember what it's called. Oh, that's because I'm typing in the wrong place, that's why. Is it Sirloin? I really can't remember what he's called, but he's a fire beast. If we do this. This guy. Searcherin Samurai Kurisho of the Skewer Master. This is like the boss monster from that archetype till they get the fusions later. He's not very good. I mean, arguably this could be okay in Duel Links, especially with a skill. Exactly, they make good filler. I don't think, though, you want to have good filler in a 20-card set is the issue. Right? Like, maybe as, like, Ns and Rs, but not as, like, the URs and SRs. I'm not supposed to be this motivated at 11 PM. Just love the Borb. The Borb. Yeah, it's... I think we could get these, but it just seems a bit weird. The Sushi Fairies, on the other hand, I do think are actually okay. And the primary reason is that this boss monster is actually just kind of fine. It's got 2500 attack. That in itself is already good, right? Victor Borba. I see. So, a Garabelle, we can send a fairy monster from my hand to the graveyard. One face-up monster on the field gains 1000 attack at the end of this turn. That is just a fine card, right? It's not great. It's not groundbreaking. It's not meta-defining. But it's just solid. It's just a 2500 guy that's level 8 that could just give something 1000 attack. It's just good. You could play this alongside Dragius and just make a Dragius a 3500 attack double attacker, which is just funny. Sushi Fairy feels like an R and N deck plus trader or rank tickets. I mean, yeah, none of these cards would be URs, right? Then there's Ginge Angel, which is like, if your opponent's life points are 4000 or higher, well, that's already going to be a little bit harder to achieve in Duel Links, I guess. Send 2 cards from your hand to the graveyard. Inflict damage equal to the attack of one face-up level 8 or lower monster on your opponent's field to your opponent. This turn you can only attack with this card. Less good. Much worse than the Agarabelle. Agarabelle is a lot better in general, but... This card as well, Dragon Roll the Sushi Fairy, is limited. This is limit 1. Now, can anyone tell me why this card is limit 1? So it's during the turn this card was normal summoned, we can place a fairy monster from our hand, or from our graveyard on the bottom of our deck, draw 1 card. This turn you cannot attack with level 6 or lower monsters. Does anyone know why this card is limited? Sushi Fury, yeah. Because it's literally because of psychics. You're not far off, to be honest, Manicus. So Dragon Roll the Sushi Fairy is limited because there are some loop shenanigans that you can do with this card, where you can put fairy monsters from your graveyard to the bottom of your deck, and then draw a card, and then tribute off, summon out something else, put a card to the bottom of your deck, draw a card, then we tribute that off to get another play going, and then Dark Lurker maybe comes out, and we pop a back row, and then we pop back into our hand, and we ship the 7 treasures, discard it, draw 2 cards. There's just a lot of like shenanigans that happens with this card. And it's the same sort of reason that we have Progress Potter limited. Which is just, again, shuffle 5 monsters from your graveyard into the deck, shuffle 2 cards from your opponent's graveyard into the deck, then you can draw cards equal to the number of Progress Potter and Pot of Avarice with different names in your graveyard. So this is now limit 2, because people would just get a load of Progress Potters in their graveyard and then start just gaining too much advantage, and then shuffling Progress Potters back, and then getting them back out, and then tributing the ones that they already had out, and then drawing even more cards. And it got a bit silly, so we had to put a stop to it. Poor Progress Potter. But I mean, I think that's kind of it, right? We've gone over everything. Have we literally talked about everything? We've talked about the mini box. We've talked about all the types, including Galaxy. We haven't really talked about Chronicle cards, but like, there's not really much to say about this, right? This is literally a new rarity, which is cool. I really like Grand's theory that this could be like the Chronicle animation as a new world. I think that would be really cool. But like, there's not really much to say about that other than the fact I do think it does make sense, right? Just because Chronicle is a very specific wording they've used there, right? Chronicle is the name of the animation that we saw. And we have already got Ecclesia and Albaz in this box, right? Just got here is Psychic Tier 1. Well, you've just kind of missed everything, Quantum, about us talking about that. We had just talked about Omega Gitana, the Shining Megastar. We talked about Princess Omega, the Shining Megastar. We talked about Can Melody. We talked about potential combos. And you've missed it all. You've missed it all, Quantum. What have you been doing? What's the best guess on when we get official word on release of some of the new stuff? I mean, Brad would generally be the one to ask, but I think that if I remember correctly, in Brad's latest video, he said that the stuff has to come out before the next major content drop, which was early next month, I want to say. So it's got to come out like soonish. And Sky Striker 2, a bunch of chronically cards. Exactly. So what this is basically saying is Melfi are confirmed to be coming to Duel Links soon. And so is Zeus. That is what we've learned from this. Imagine as well that, because right, if Battle Chronicle or whatever it's called became a world, right? If we got a Chronicle world, what would the duelists be from there? Would you play as like Ecclesia? Would you play as Albaz? Would you play as Zeus? Imagine like you queue up and you're playing like Solomon Moto, and then you queue into Zeus. Just like the giant mech with like a dual disc on his arm. Just like, it is time to duel. That would be so good. Melfi is already in Duel Links? Is it? Wait, but how much of Melfi is in Duel Links? Is it double F? Okay, so we have like the bare bones of Melfi. We have like the barest of bare bones. When did these cards come out as well? So these are 2021? These cards came out? I mean, you know, if Rabbi's in, then Melfi's in. That's all it is. Yes, please. I play as Ray. Oh, could you imagine playing as Ray? Let me play as the Gundam, please. Would you play as a custom character that we've all been wanting to? No, because, you know, if that was the case, you would just play as the Vagabond. You'd just get, like, the Vagabond, like, darkened eyes, the red cap, and that would be it. So what do we have? We have Fenny, we have Pony, we have Tag, and we just have Melfi Mummy. I mean, Mummy's not, like, bad. It's not going to really accomplish much, though, is it? We need Joyous. Merry. Without Puppy and Kitty, or Puppy and Catty, the deck just doesn't feel like it's anything. Because I played a bit of Melfi Tri-Brigade. Just like a little bit, but I really enjoyed the deck. Players Twin Long Rods number 2. Oh, could you imagine? Let's go check out the boy. So if we can spell it. What's wrong with Twin Long Rods number 1, by the way? Also, guess what I have right here? It's the boy! Twin Long Rods! Well, we should probably put the other one on the screen. There he is! We just coincidentally have this sat next to us. We knew! An amphibious creature with 2 whip-like tails. But yeah, I think it would be really cool. It would be really cool just to... I want these cards. I want the Dogmatica cards. That's what I want. Who was telling us earlier that we hadn't read Metal Tronus as well, by the way? Let's read this quick. Target 1 face-up non-token monster your opponent controls. Special summon 1 monster from your hand, deck, or extra deck that has 2 or more of the same type, attribute, and or attack, but negate its effects, and if you negate that targeted monster's effects. Also, after that, if these monsters have the same name, you can banish both face down. Your opponent cannot activate the targeted monster's effects in response to this card's activation. You can only activate 1 Metal Tronus per turn. Now, alright, what are you supposed to do with this card? What is the intended... Because there's obviously an intended strategy with this card, right? There's an intended thing you summon out and then do something with it. I do not know what it is. It's probably something to do with the artwork. No maximum, so we save up. Is that what we do? Only maximums. Basically anti-mirror, right? Anti-mirror. Pretty exciting, the new box, but with playing Rush as main and only having 1 account, it's not really possible to invest in speed. Yeah, I mean, realistically, I would always recommend that if you want to play both, just have 2 accounts. It just makes life so much easier, but Metal is extremely new, came from Dual Terminal. I don't know why we got this. I mean, that's just how Konami like to do. Like, they like to just throw things at us at different times than when they came out in the physical game and just mix shit up. Just like to get that big old spoon and start stirring. So it's a mirror match card. So it is, right? But you could also use this on like... Because theoretically, right? If there's something that was generic enough. So let's say Nibiru became meta, right? Your opponent summons out their Nibiru, you get the token. Then you could use this and like cheat out your Nibiru from your deck, I guess. And then maybe do something with that. But like outside of cards being super generic or a side deck format, I think you'd have to have massive balls to run this just hoping that you're going to run into a mirror match. I think for me, the most interesting stuff in here is these 2 cards, like almost exclusively. Like, don't get me wrong, I like the other Dogmatica cards because the Dogmatica cards are cool, but Fallen of Albaz and Titaniclad, these are the cool shit. In fact, you can almost like see the rarities, right? So, what do we think? Ecclesia is going to be a UR. Titaniclad's going to be a UR. Do we think Albaz is a UR? Can't Dogmatica just put popular boss monsters in the extra deck and run it? Yeah, of course you can. Unless they have like some sort of skill which says no, then yeah. Ecclesia is an SR? You think Ecclesia is going to be an SR? Because I think Nexus was a common, I think, in the physical game. Even though it's kind of like a big, funny guy. I don't even know if this card was a common. I just remember... I remember I had this card. Like, not like digitally. I didn't have it physically. Now let's not get less rarities, less gets limits. Oh, that's a good point. Do you think any of these cards are going to be limited? I could see Punishment being limited. I don't even know if it's worth limiting this card, but it's like, it's really good. Obviously, this has the big line of text on it saying, until the end of your next turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck, which is going to be a big turn off to some people, but... Khalid, you've come in here and your first chat ever is that. Now, I'm not sure if this is like a bot. We'll give it. We'll give him a chance. We'll give him a chance before we slap the banhammer down. Is it a bot? I have no idea. Might just be a bro. Oh, is that a URL that got banned? Okay, in which case we'll just get rid of that. We will just send them to the Shadow Realm, as it were. We'll have none of that funny business in here. But I think with that, that's kind of us done, right? We've only got half an hour till we were planning to end stream, right? Nobody talk about generator. Where was it? Where was it? We saw it here. Here it is. Hella generator boss. Do we have any generators cards? Actually, before we do decide to end, do we have any at all? We have the boss of fire. The thing is, do generators matter until we get boss stage? Because it can only end really bad. Generator isn't a thing without boss stage. Ignore it. Generator with 2 tokens. I still have to farm 3k more gems for the new selection box, so I can buy 3 runs. The bosses are generic in types, so zombies, etc. I mean, what does it even do? So you, yeah. I mean, this isn't a. Again, this isn't. This is a generator card. I feel like in name only. This is really just a zombie support card. I mean, it's okay. The one that I always remember is Ha and who is the other one? The other annoying one. Was it Nidhogg? Yeah, Nidhogg and Ha are the two that like I always remember. These 2 assholes. As we just wait for the lovely, lovely adverts to end. Welcome back, everyone that did have adverts. Yeah, for generators, the only ones I really remember is Ha and Nidhogg because they're just so annoying. But with that said, again, we've kind of run out of stuff. I don't like Ha. Nobody likes Ha. Ha is an asshole, but I remember him. I'll never forget him because I've lost to him before. And you never forget when you lose. But that is going to be it from us today. Again, we'd usually end the stream in half an hour from now anyway. I don't really want to start playing if we're going to have to stop in like half an hour anyway. I have got some other bits and bobs to take care of today, so I can't just keep the stream going all day, unfortunately. But we had quite a fun time. We went over all of the leaks. We talked about potential things that could come out in the future. We talked about a load of rush. We talked about a load of speed. I'm still, again, really looking forward to Albaz. Really looking forward to Titaniclad. I really, really would just like my... what are they called? I want all of the Despia cards. I want all of the Albaz cards. We want all of the... I just want all of it. I just want all of it. Give me the branded. Give me all the branded. But as for the rush stuff, the new box hopefully will be good, because this meta is getting a bit stagnant. I think a lot of rush players are feeling the same, where we're like, please change the meta. I'm kind of sick of playing against Cyberse, and I'm sick of playing against Machine every single game. I'm sick of them winning tournaments all the time. It's not interesting anymore. It's just kind of boring. So give us some new shit. Make Psychic the best deck. Make Dragons good again. I don't care. Anything. Just change something. And then obviously we talked about some of the new Fusion stuff that is going to be coming out presumably in the next few months, which will be very exciting. And fingers crossed we do get the Chronicle world as kind of our next big thing. But we will be back again on Thursday, where we will probably be actually playing some Rush. So if you actually came here for Rush Duel and to watch Rush Duel, I'm sorry you didn't really see us play any Rush Duel today, but we will be doing that on Thursday. But thanks for watching the video, everyone. Thanks for watching the video. God, we're in YouTube right now. Thanks for watching the stream, everyone. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.